a high chance to win, yeah. Like all the teams. I mean, if all the teams they are here, they have a high chance to win, right? I think we have a high chance. Right now is very stacked, like the top four. I think finishing fourth in Europe, it's like finishing first. I mean, Empire, G2, and Navi, and us. I think we are close to each other. So yeah, they should be afraid of us.
Is this going to be the time where Europe comes back on top?
Yeah, maybe. It will be. I don't want to think.
You're not very convincing.
I think we are confident on the team that we can bring it home, and overall Europe can bring it home.
What do you think about BDS?
BDS it's on a really good mood right now. They are pretty consistent as a team because they have one of the best entry fraggers in Europe and in the world, and they have one of the best supports in the Europe and the world. So that's a very good combo for every team. That you have two of these guys in the best roles, you have pretty good chances to win the matches. But to beat BDS, you can do a counter game against Shaiko and the drones in his feet, and on the finish of the rounds, you can build a play to counter the bridge plants. So that way they could do nothing. The same that we did to them in the Oregon. We lost to them in the SI because we didn't get some key rounds in the Clubhouse. So that game, it was to be a 2-0, but it was not our time to win because we had no experience to be cool, to be cold, and finish that map.
Words from BDS and FURIA. If you're curious, those interviews took place before the start of the group stage. So FURIA was discussing their rematch that we now have in a best of 3 from the 6 Invitational earlier this year. So 3 months have passed now. FURIA also said, what you didn't see was that they were a very young team. They only had a couple months playing together by the time that the Invitational rolled around. And so they really felt that that wasn't their time to shine yet. And as you could hear, they think that they should have 2-0'd. They did lose. They did lose Clubhouse, which is the second match of the series, after they opened on Oregon to a FURIA win. And he said, you know, there were some key rounds we lost there, but it was because we didn't have the experience. It's because we weren't cool and calm and collected, and now we feel much more comfortable in the LAN environment, and so it'll be different this time. And they said, additionally, another thing you didn't see was FURIA thinks that this is their time to win. Like, their time to win is starting now. So they feel much more confident overall. So very interesting words from FURIA.
And they're interesting probably because they're the biggest underdogs throughout the entire bracket for the playoffs currently. And I'm not sure whether they know that, considering you've just made that statement. But hey, it was a few days ago, so they
definitely don't know that, by the way.
They definitely don't know they're probably the big underdogs at the moment. But at least in my mind, and a lot of us in the talent group have agreed, they're probably, you know, the lowest rated to make it to the finals and be finalists. So we'll see. They can surprise.
Well, we do have some additional words from these teams that were recorded a little bit more recently before this match. So we'll hear what they think now.
Making to the playoffs in this event, it's a really good experience that we could have. I believe our mindset is the right place to play a big tournament like that. We have a really good mental support with our performance coach, Bernardo. And I believe that makes us better than other groups of young players.
He gets taken out by highs.
They've got a lot of discipline, they've got a lot of aggressiveness in their style of play. However, they don't have quite the experience yet, but they're gonna get there eventually.
I think we are pretty happy to make the playoffs. I think our groups is one of the closest between all the teams. It was pretty like a trap group. It's very important for us to bring France at the top, and obviously Europe as well. I think FURIA is a good opponent for us. I mean, we played them 2 times at SI. We won the best of 1 and won the best of 3. It was close matches, close maps every time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to play them again.
I'm so glad we got to hear from FURIA as well about the importance of their performance coach, because they went on actually at length about that when I discussed that with them. They said it's one of the most important things. They were given a lot of exercises. This performance coach is the same one that works with the CSGO team at FURIA, which, if you don't know, is probably the best current Brazilian roster in CSGO. So very experienced. And they said that was a really, really big improvement for them, was being able to take a step back, engage in some exercises to calm themselves down, which will keep them in the game. So we will see how much of an effect this performance coach has had as we head into this rematch from SI. It's very exciting because I'm sure FURIA really wants the revenge here.
God, I mean, there's no double elim either. There's no second chance. Like, this is it. You either win the rematch, you redeem yourself, you prove what you stated before about the fact that you just needed a little bit more time. And either that rings true or BDS just come in and give a big fat stomp.
Yeah, FURIA's they're on the up. The back-to-back events, they've gone out of groups. They're going up against the top teams, and it's a grudge match for them against BDS.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at our bracket. Liquid, Empire have already advanced. We'll be deciding our fourth quarterfinal down there. I know it's coming third, but that's because we moved Dark Zero and Team 1 to later in the day. So BDS versus FURIA, winner will face Team Empire, and then we will head into Team 1 versus Dark Zero, possibly having 3 Brazilian teams in the top 4. SI featured 3 Brazilian teams in the top 3. So can the dominance continue, or are we going to see some of these other regions making waves and getting into semis?
Oh, it's really, I suppose, sad that we're going to essentially force both of the EU teams together in the semi-finals, and you really can't get out of that, but that's sort of the predicament we're in when you have so many Latin American teams doing so well. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the Latin America meta, it's kind of, ironic. They're back-to-back top 4, and the other teams are trying to match and keep up with them, but as this event shows, they're still probably much the most dominant region so far.
Well, before we get into teams, let's do vetoes. How about that?
Okay. Let's get it. Let's hit it.
So just for reference, when these teams met at SI, the maps were Oregon, Clubhouse, and Consulate as a decider.
So the biggest important fact. What?
Wow.
What? Okay,
I expected a Kafe ban.
I said they really either need to get rid of Clubhouse or Villa as one of their first bans.
BDS.
Let's remember, this is ban, pick, ban, decider. So that is their very first ban off the board.
We called it.
And you and I called this, didn't we?
We called the Chalet ban, which makes the most sense. FURIA has an 88% win rate on that map. And BDS has an 88% win rate on Kafe, and an 86% win rate on Coastline, which FURIA actually opts to pick, which is a little surprising.
Is this the right veto? I'm a little confused because I feel like FURIA is confused as to what they need to do.
You called the Clubhouse pick.
The Clubhouse pick makes absolute sense. You want to know why? Because even though FURIA has a dominating win percentage on it, it's only against non-tier 1 teams. And you can feign a little bit of confidence when you're winning against very, very low-tier teams. Oregon will be the next ban, and I wonder what will follow, because if Villa stays in,
if it goes Villa,
FURIA is like in trouble. Okay.
This map ban phase did not go any way that we thought it was going to go. This is a complete surprise to both me and Jess.
I don't understand what I'm visually seeing on our screen right now.
I mean, all I'm saying is go back to the conference with the interviews, and FURIA thinks that they should have won Clubhouse in the last matchup between these teams. So we can argue that all day long.
Absolutely.
But I think it's clear that in FURIA's mind that they lost to themselves due to getting too hyped, due to losing some key rounds. That's what they told me. And so in their minds, it's probably great for them that we see BDS picking Clubhouse. Like, they probably think that's a win. Do you agree?
They better be right, because
I hope they're right.
I vehemently disagree with that.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah. That's the sound for the moment. We just put that on the board. Not feeling that one. Look, Coastline could go either way. It's one of those maps.
I mean, all I can say is these are FURIA's words, and this is what they believe.
Wow. They're really going there. They're hitting the philosophy through and through. Like, they're living it, they're saying it, they talk the talk, and now they're walking the walk. We'll see.
What I think is interesting is that they're not playing the map that they won last time, and they actually banned Oregon out. That was a bit of a surprise to me.
Maybe. Literally, the last results I have for BDS and Oregon is that they barely beat VP, not one of the best teams in EUL, and then they got 7-4 by TSM at SI. So if you wanted to go to a bad map of BDS, that was the one. So I don't know. I think they just want to,
I'm genuinely at a loss for words.
Yeah,
Well,
I
all right.
really don't know.
They're playing crazy. BDS, though, has been very consistent on the whole, pretty easily topping their group, I'd say. BDS going to be back in form right now. You guys want to talk about this team's international record, which has been slightly disappointing, I would say?
Yeah, so we keep talking about BDS being the team to win it, or they're always close enough to winning it, but the biggest problem is they always get so close but never follow through. In their last couple events, they've gotten top 4 at SI 2020, top 8 at SI 2021, second place in the November Major in EUL, second place in the EUL Finals, and second place in EUL Stage 1 and in 2020 and 2021. So they are very consistent at getting top 4, but when it comes to getting that first place, they've always fallen short. And I think it's getting to the point where it's like, how many times can we say BDS is going to win this? This is a BDS event. As Jacob likes to say, BDS takes it. Are they actually going to take it this event, or are they going to continue to fall short?
This is the very last chance. I know I've been spouting this for days and days and days, but this is the very last chance that BDS will ever get from me at an international event where they can have confidence behind them. Otherwise, I just feel like they're always going to be the bridesmaid and never the bride again, and that is just going to be the most horrific thing to explain, of course, to a player and a team.
I'm now really hoping they don't, so just forever, you're just like, BDS has disappointed me for the last time. I will never predict them or get hyped about them again. I love it. I love it.
What a shame.
All right, let's talk about some individual stats, Jess, because you wanted to pull out some of the leaders in certain categories. So we're going to take a look at Shaiko and Bride from BDS. Why are we looking at the statistics behind these players?
I mean, look, if you know me and what I like to do in the EUL is I like to tell you who's doing the best in each of the categories. And of course, Shaiko, he seems to be topping the charts both in entire rating and in entry, which you will notice is opening kills. The OK at the bottom of your screen there for his team throughout just the major. And then, of course, we switch over to his best little support friend of Bride. You will see he is one of the highest rated players when it comes to cost and plants. It is like you couldn't get a better explanation statistically than what FURIA was saying in their press conference about the fact that they have one of the best fraggers, and they also have one of the best support players in the world. Those stats match up. I'd like to see some more plans from Bride. I'd like to see what he does in EUL and replicate it here, because he's in a best of 3, baby. That's where you can get them all out on the board.
As a player, what do you think the strengths of Shaiko and Bride are? One each.
Oh, Bride's got the clutch factor, for sure,
nice.
100%. And Shaiko's just got the mechanical skill that gets him out of bad situations.
All right, let's switch over to FURIA, because we've said many times this tournament, in the overwhelming glow of the Brazilian region and the stars that are NIP, Team Liquid, and Team One, FURIA has kind of not been the brightest light. And why is that? Because they've now made it further than the Six Invitational champion.
What a brilliant kind of, I guess, reference to give Latin America as a region. Just to say that you can go so far down the list and still find a possible champion team. And I think that just shows the depth of Latin America now. I wouldn't say they came out of nowhere, but I will say it's been years and years coming. The same as what people are saying about APAC, and they've got a really, really smart roster behind them at the moment.
And so who are the stars that you want to point out here? Because so often just as with the teams, you know, it's all about Alamau, just this huge narrative around the Rookie of the Year, or it's about Palu or Pino. Who's it about on FURIA?
I would say it's about Fantasy and Miracle. Fantasy specifically is like that entry fragger kind of lurker. He depends kind of the site and take that they go for. He'll entry or he'll lurk for those kills, but he also is the biggest space maker on the team. We've talked about it before. He's also the highest rated player on their team right now, leading in opening kills, leading in KD as well. And Miracle's, you know, just that support player that's kind of getting the bomb down, and they're just overall clicking. And again, the biggest thing with these guys to talk about is experience. This is their second event, and they're already back-to-back out of the group stage, and they've had a tough opponent both times, which happens to be BDS again. So again, I think they're kind of going there with a little grit, and like this is a little grudge match for them.
Let's not forget, though, that Fantasy, not only is he one of their best players, but throughout this event, he has topped cost. He has topped opening kills. He has topped overall rating for his team. No matter where you look on the board, the only person that manages to top him in a category is on the next slide here, and it's going to be our man Miracle, who of course Sky's just brought up. It's their plant maker, it's their objective maker. Unfortunately, look down at the plants. This is where the two playstyles between these two teams will clash, because that is not a lot of plants for an entire event so far. He happens to be the one that should be getting the objective down. He's the one that has the most, but he's going to have to step up big when it comes to objective play here now that he's in a best of 3 against one of the best objective teams in the entire world.
One major thing we've missed a little bit on Fantasy is their whole team went an overall -18 in opening kills in the Brazilian League, but in this, he's already got 14 opening kills alone.
That's quite a bit, quite a few. Doing very well. Now, you mentioned the kind of comparison between these two teams stylistically, because I think, Skies, you were saying they have a very similar map pool, but their operator pools are very different. So how do they use operators so differently on these maps, and how does that inform your analysis of their playstyles?
God, when I look at BDS, I don't think they're a cookie-cutter team. I think that's an unfair way to sort of say it. I think that they like sort of default compositions because it works to their objective-based playstyle, and that's fair enough. You know, we're seeing things like the Sledge, for example, or a Buck that we see from Rafale, and then the Nomad is necessary for the flank hold, and then the typical Hibana or Thermite from Brute from the support. So I think it's just very minimalistic roles, whereas when I look over at FURIA, I'm seeing someone take a Blitz, someone take, you know, an Amaru, for example, someone take just wild different operators. And I think they're at two ends of the spectrum when it comes to who's comfortable with what operators and why.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference, too, as well, is like BDS has kind of been one of the only teams that has stuck with their playstyle consistently. They're not kind of following and chasing that Latin aggressive meta. They're still one of the few teams that rely on getting the bomb down first. Most of their strats are set to get Bride in a position to get the bomb down, whereas FURIA, like I said, they have continued to stay with that Latin aggression and just ran with it.
Yeah, it could be an issue with BDS, too, at international competition if they're not used to playing as much against these styles. Can be hard if you're more inflexible at adapting your own style in order to answer it. So, very good stuff. Predictions?
BDS.
I'm going to take the Jacob and say BDS takes it.
Oh, you've cursed them now. Just depressed.
I've become a big fan of Jacob this event.
Okay, sure. You're the only one.
Oh. Wow.
She doesn't mean that, Jacob. She doesn't mean that. It's jealousy of the prediction percentage, I promise.
All right, our casters are ready. Coming back to you, our Stokes in Blue.
Thank you very much, Monty, and we are indeed ready to jump into this third matchup of the day. Bound to be an exciting one, as the rest of these have as well. Stokes, let's get your opening thoughts on this matchup.
Well, I gotta tell you guys, the vibes are very high in this room right now, and it's not just because we're having a good time. Actually, FURIA came in here just bumping music. It was amazing, to be honest with you. I've never seen anything like it at a LAN. They came down the escalators just bumping music the whole time. So I'm very excited for this one. I'm sure that you guys are, you guys at home are as well, especially with these two playstyles clashing in the way that they're going to.
Obviously, it's going to be quite interesting as it was two very different stories throughout the groups for both of these teams. FURIA squeaking their way by in so many close matches, as well as a lot fewer matches because they unfortunately were in the group of 3 due to the unfortunate turn of events with the Knights. We do want to bring up our community poll as well while we have a moment here. It's France versus Brazil who is getting this dub this time around. Be sure to submit your vote, whether it's here in the Twitch chat, over on our Twitter, or on one of our many social platforms. All the results a little bit later on during the show to talk about and see, more importantly, if you guys were right. But going back to what I was saying, for FURIA, obviously struggling their way a little bit through the group, but still making it happen, outwitting Na'Vi and being able to push their way forward. At the same time, BDS having a very solid run, similarly to almost Liquid, having some dominant score lines and, for the most part, not having much trouble making their way out in the top position.
It's the consistency that's scary. You know, we see teams pop off all the time at major events. They'll have a good map, they'll have a bad map. BDS has been just such a consistent squad throughout. Again, as John was talking about, very similar to Liquid, but Coastline, anything but consistent. One of the maps inside of Rainbow Six, you don't necessarily have to bring the hard-stuck operators that we're used to seeing inside of lineups like Hard Breach and all these other things. It's a very open concept as to what you want to do with your team, and these two squads are definitely going to stack up in a very interesting way here.
All right, well, let's take a look. We're getting into the bands now. Time to see which these operators our teams are going to be taking out on Coastline. Choices tend to be fairly open, but let's see, as we still end up falling into a meta usually anyway, and this one's going to make sense. Nomad being banned out by FURIA, that will remove some of the anti-roam capability from BDS here, those air jabs, blocking off quite a bit of the rotate capability that the aggressive defenders will often have when trying to make plays.
Okay, well, follow-up ban is going to be Thatcher. That one pretty self-explanatory, just getting rid of those EMPs and allow these walls to stay closed a little bit longer, even though I know we just talked about how hard breach is not a necessity on Coastline. Sometimes it is for the greater good, like when you're attacking billiards and things like that. Anyways, Valkyrie's going to be removed out next from BDS, and once again, pretty self-explanatory. Just do some damage to that info game for the defense.
Yep, final ban coming up right here. It is the second choice from FURIA and our final ban of the match. Let's see, we're going to be knocking out, an interesting one. Makes a lot of sense, though, just because of the amount of play we get on this operator on Coastline specifically. So Mute will be removed from the pool, and that will leave really only Mozzie for drone mitigation.
So going to be an SAS operator down on defense as well. As you said, lots of mitigation off the board. So you guys are more than likely going to be seeing Kaid pretty often here. They want to try and keep those walls locked up. Bandit always an option as well, but one that we don't get to see too often anymore. We did see him earlier on today, but just really didn't end up working out. Actually did on that one round for Chalet. We did actually end up seeing that work out, but still just don't see that much play from him anymore. Either way, though, we are going to be jumping into things now, folks, between Team BDS and FURIA. FURIA is starting off on defense, and they're going to be headed to double bar first.
So for FURIA, we'll see how this type of a lineup will pan out. You'll have Miracle as your main player deep in the site. Lots of trapping as well as grenade mitigation coming in there for the FURIA roster as well to hopefully fend off. Will be a whole lot of that coming in for BDS. They're going to need it too. Looking at BDS's composition with 4 frag grenades being brought to the table as well as 2 smokes, they'll definitely want to try and get rid of as many of those as possible. On top of everything else the team will be bringing on the attacking side also.
Yeah, a big interesting fold here for FURIA is the fact that they 6-pick away from the Mira and into the Melusi. Melusi, a very solid pick, but Mira, this is one of those sites on Coastline that you love to see her play. She's usually played around this couches area towards the bottom of your screen with those panels obviously reversed and played in towards blue. Just so you can try and, stop plants going down from behind blue bar and things along those lines. But FURIA obviously have something else in the deck that they feel like is going to work. The other option obviously being the mud side, so we'll see if Team BDS want to try and take from that side and play it into FURIA's hand.
Let's see here for FURIA what exactly they're going to be trying to do inside of the opening round. Setting up some spawn peak positions, and Linda specifically might be wondering why he just kind of goes for a random shot. That's not random, it's a timing shot, trying to catch someone from BDS coming out of a specific spawn point. Just not going to line up the stars too well this time around as the rest of BDS begins to spread out around the map and take up those initial positions to begin entering into the building. More than likely over here towards the master bathroom, we'll see some hatchwork getting opened up. At least one player going to be opening up that service door too to possibly open up for an early duel here against Highs. Also an early EE1D charge going off here as well, but not a whole lot following that up. Lems, as you can see, they're getting some great intel onto the Mozzie's position right around the corner from the site inside of office.
The hills have eyes, or at least drones. So the drone hole here getting some solid information inside of offices. BDS still waiting to move forward here, but some supporting angles as well. An Orthodox one through the hatch that is not busted, instead just busted the corner of it, so it can hold Lenda's door downstairs for office. He's going to let Lenda play this area for quite some time, as well as Rare actually going to have the assistance of a Banshee there. End up getting into a gunfight now here, but he's going to switch back, and beautiful, beautiful stuff here from FURIA. The setup working out perfectly with that Banshee.
Rare continuing to hold on to an aggressive position, now swinging over to try to fend off the BDS pressure that would be coming in from VIP. But overall from BDS, it's caused a pause here with the loss of a Lems. You don't want to try and swing forward and take any additional risks right now. A lot of players here, specifically Bride, sticking on the drone work, and Shaiko as well, also bringing the Gemini out to try and search around the map right now to see what exactly FURIA are feeling across the table. Fortunately, not finding a whole lot that's actionable here, so BDS still kind of stuck at that point where they are uncomfortably starting to shift their way forward, mainly out of a necessity rather than a virtue of their gains inside of the round there. Rafal, as well as another player, going to be able to trade things out. Brings us down to a 4v3 here. Rafal, of course, taking some heavy damage, but at minimum able to go for an even exchange inside of that round right there and inside of that fight. Fantasy, though, puts it right back under the control of FURIA, and Miracle's going to push it to a detrimental point now as Rafal, the only one left. He does manage to get the jump onto Fantasy to take him down. Where does he go from here? Still a 1v3 to deal with. He's got to run back outside to retrieve the case and transition down a floor with only 40 seconds left to make all of that happen.
All right, well, Golden 6, not going to be able to get too much done to that flooring, and they're going to start shooting back and forth between this makeshift can hole here. Either way, though, only 30 seconds remaining for Rafal to do something here. used his last EU1D earlier on when that refrag came in, and, well, not going to be able to do too much more as FURIA take the very first round, and that LATAM energy already being felt. This squad, though, there's one thing I wanted to talk about when it came to FURIA. They're not your typical LATAM squad. They're actually very controlled in the way that they do things, and we were talking about this the last time that we casted them. They have an amazing coach. Twister, one of the best LATAM coaches that we have ever seen, that is at the helm of this young squad, and they just look so strong in a lot of these rounds, especially the ones where they get the lead and start to control that pacing. They don't give up too many bodies. It's just really solid overall.
And experience for Twister goes back years and years in terms of Latin American
Ninjas
Siege.
in Pajamas, FaZe, Black Dragons back in the day. I mean, this guy has been around the block.
So considering that, FURIA bringing a much more strain as well as well put together team orientation here for the inside of this very important matchup versus BDS. BDS may have heard on the analysis desk, pushing their way, I believe, into the top 8 during SI 2021. Reaching that point again here at the Mexico Major, but trying to see if they can push it just one step further and make it back to the semifinals for tomorrow's matchups. FURIA, though, making things difficult, at least off the first round, but indeed it is only the first round. So we'll see what type of adjustments BDS are going to be making as they get ready to go in for the second attack against the hookah billiards hold here from FURIA upstairs.
Well, it was quite the slow-moving offense for BDS. Rafal really the one that was very forward in his movements. Everyone else simply sticking to angles and seeing if a FURIA member would walk into them. And as we were talking about before, you can't necessarily blame them because a lot of these LATAM teams really like to be mobile, and a lot of the times you end up getting gunfights in that way. Obviously not the case for BDS so far, so they're going to have to try and adjust something. They're not going to do it inside of the lineup, still going to keep the Lion as well as Shaiko on Yana, but they're going to do it in other regards, so we'll see what they're going to do inside of this one. E1D very early here for Rafal, just to try and hold people still as they're trying to get spawn peaks and everything else. Just want to figure out the situation early and not give FURIA a pick.
He's just trying to isolate out that drone real quick because he's obviously holding a hard press position. Doesn't want to give away that free intel over to his opponents here. Renshiro also trying to take up a corner angle, trying to see if he can maybe catch Rare, but never mind. Rare catches Renshiro instead, and it's FURIA off to the right foot yet again inside of the second round here. Lenda going to keep that right on rolling as he drops a Lems as well, and we go down to a 5v3 inside the first minute of the round.
Now, I talked to Jess about this, the regular, EUL and what happens with BDS, and she said sometimes they do indeed start slow, but then eventually they just hit this moment where they know everything that's going to happen, but apparently not inside of that engagement. Miracle with a double with the SMG-11. Didn't even need a second magazine, just removed some heads. Now it's all up to Bride in a 1 versus 5. He'll be able to tag up Fantasy, but now his location obviously given up. He'll be on Hookah Balcony. This is more likely just be a makeshift timeout where Bride does his thing. And as soon as Fantasy dies, actually, the LATAM squad yelling from across the arena as well. But again, for BDS, more than likely just going to be a makeshift timeout as they try to get some things figured out here because this is just not going well.
Yeah, Bride, not really anything he can realistically do here. FURIA outright denying any type of access to anywhere near the site here. We could see in the last round BDS at least leveraging some early control, but as soon as they tried to shift it back downstairs, it started to get immediately denied by the members of FURIA to shut that one down and put BDS on the back foot here. I don't know if you probably can't hear it behind us, but the FURIA players are just kind of trying to egg on Bride right now, telling him, come on in, it's all right.
If we can translate, it's just
let's get this over with. Yeah, a little bit of an existence pause coming out right now here for the FURIA roster, or excuse me, for the BDS roster. They do have this extra minute. Clearly, their attacking strategy is not working out to a core element, so they are going to use this free minute and 20 seconds they have, as well as the relative safety of Bride just kind of crab walking on the roof here.
Walking around with stuns in his hand.
Not the most riveting stuff here, folks, but yeah, there is a lot of going on behind the scenes right now, specifically for BDS, as they're using this to talk instead of a traditional timeout.
Absolutely, and so to finish the point that I was talking about earlier on with Jess, BDS tend to start off slow sometimes, but they'll hit this moment where they start to understand what the opponent is doing, and they just run with the game. So I don't want to get the cart in front of the horse, but this is looking quite scary right now for BDS. It's only round 2, obviously a best of 3, and Bride still hitting some very nice shots, but very minimal time remaining, and that's going to be another round going to FURIA.
Bride is out here playing aim lab right now. That's all he's doing.
Hey, got to get that grid shot in the morning, you know? Spider shot.
Where are you at? What's your score?
My grid shot right now, I think, is 85,000?
Yeah, I have a higher score than you.
You have a higher score than me?
I'm pretty sure mine's 88.
Do you want to compare diamond charts? Just because you can shoot doesn't mean you can win, John.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, well, either way, though, FURIA obviously jutting ahead here by 2 rounds in very convincing fashion. They're going to continue to roll around these sites. This time around, it's going to be Penthouse Theater, one that we don't see very often. And to make it even more interesting, we're not going to have a Mira here. This is one of those sites that we tend to see Mira extremely often, but also teams have been basically reinventing the wheel when it comes to Penthouse Theater, because back in the day, you legitimately could not play around the theater, or excuse me, the Penthouse area. It's basically just no man's land. We've had a lot of teams like starting to adapt into VIP and do these other very interesting things, so we could see something like that from FURIA.
So get into this round, we'll take a look and see what type of a setup we're going to get out of FURIA. This is an interesting site. Some teams choose not to go to this one because it needs to be played in a very, not necessarily like strange, but very unexpected way. Previous to this, if you didn't have Mira, you just weren't playing this at all. However, she's allowed in play, but despite that fact, you'll note she's not actually being brought here. That's because over the past couple months, teams have figured out a couple new setups, specifically using the 90 hallway as well as VIP here to leverage the necessary control over the site compared to what was usually done before. It was mainly played from the theater.
Absolutely, my friend. Lots of laser gates down, as well as some walls being reinforced and electrified, specifically for the bathroom area, just to create that nice little kill box effect, just in case any BDS member does want to try and waltz through that hatch and probably end up meeting their demise. BDS now out and onto the field now as well. Be changing up anything really inside of their lineup here. Bride still on the Habana. Alems still rocking Zofia as well, and the rest of the board still looking the same. So BDS set up for this one. As for FURIA, though, we've already been talking about their setup just a little bit. It's really up to BDS and how they want to deal with this. And you got to worry about a couple of things here. Not only what's going on inside of VIP for them, but also what FURIA have going on down low. This Nitro Cell game is extremely important to their positioning. That's why Alems is currently taking this duel on Service Door. That LMG obviously going to be a big help here with the ammo capacity that it has. Might have some freebies here for Fantasy, but he won't be able to lock it up. Instead, he'll get tagged out from the Lion and eventually make his move back into VIP.
Another one of those dangerous lineups. We saw a lot of those on day one, where so many of our APAC teams are able to get multi-kills as a result of that type of stacking. Fantasy, though, is not really going to rock at a hard place right now, but he's surviving and almost thriving to an extent. Never mind, however, as Alems will finally take him down. Miracle continuing to trade out the necessary kills, though, keeps the fights even at a 3v3, and now Miracle going to double down on this, go right up to the Hall of Fame doorway. Trying to see if he can hold an aggressive angle here, but of course he has to be cautious of the big window play, too. Laser Gate's back up and running once again, so we'll re-enable that, and oh no! The distraction of it gives perfect signal for Lenda to run out through the service door and shut down Rafal.
FURIA, high-octane gameplay right now, and you love to see it. The playmaking ability of this team right now, constantly catching BDS off guard as they enter the 2 versus 3. And the other thing is it's not even low time. We're still above a minute right now. Luckily enough, though, drone of Shaiko here, the hologram, will get a lot of info as to where 2 of the members of FURIA reside inside of Theater. Miracle trying to take a fight right off of the vase, but not able to get anything done just yet. It's a solid delay thus far, but BDS really need to get some frags here. Start propelling themselves forward. Out of frag grenades as well on Shaiko. It's all down to literally 1 frag grenade, or 1 flash grenade, excuse me, as well as quite a few bullets for these 2. Finally taking up Rare as well here, but FURIA, again, such a good job of controlling this pacing. They know how bad of a spot BDS are in.
Shaiko continuing to falter back here now as the time gets lower. You need to obviously push closer to the site, but he's going to look for that route through 90. He's going to be able to very quickly deal with the Volcan shield that's thrown down there by Lenda, but aside from that and some minor damage done to both of the players nearby, no game-changing effects coming in here. It's going to need to come from Shaiko. A good start, but again, the trade's so quick. Bride also was able to get a second, however, so this goes down to a 1v1. But with only 10 seconds left, we need a very aggressive Bride here to try and leverage positioning to get this down on the ground. Nitro thrown out from Lenda, doesn't secure the kill, though. He's not entirely sure where it's going down at. He's going to walk right past it, and what is that, Lenda? Oh my goodness, Bride! He's just handed the round, and BDS finally go on the board.
Okay, so that's a thing. I don't really know how that ended up breaking down in that way, but Lenda's just simply not going to look to his right, and Bride is going to get a free round. Ends up getting the plant down as well, but you can see he has no idea where this plant's going down at all. And kind of the worrying thing about that is that obviously, like, the engagement that they had before that, he sprints into the hallway, and he's like, okay, is he going to take the gunfight? No, I'm going to run back here and start planting. And
like, there should have been sound cues, right?
Absolutely should have been sound, yes. You are 100% correct. He totally heard that guy planting. He obviously nitro cells to mask his own movement, but past that, it's just a little bit of a misread on the audio. That's really it. Obviously, with the way that Siege audio works, for those of you that don't know, it doesn't travel through walls, it travels around them. So the whole, obviously the door is where the audio is going to be coming through from, but it's all going to be channeling through the same direction. So until he actually approaches the door and is standing where his ears can go left to right, he's not going to get that audio that tells him exactly where that's going down.
Unfortunate turn of events for FURIA there, but regardless, BDS will accept it and take their first round. Now for FURIA, it's time to see if a rebound is in the cards for them, or if this is the sign of some more struggles to come. BDS, like we said, always tending to start out a little bit slow, but eventually hitting a point where they can find their stride. That may have been the point on the last round, regardless of the circumstances of how the round was won. BDS here still bringing a lot of that same flair to the table, especially on Rafal there, as the Lion is going to remain a consistent pick for this attacking side, and we should probably expect that first E1D charge to come off in the next couple seconds if they're going to be following through with the same type of strategy.
Yeah, it's absolutely a necessity as well. Rare going for a very long run out here. He'll end up getting marked out on VIP balcony, but nothing will come of it. FURIA still allowed to exist inside of the building, at least for right now. Obviously, we're going to continue to see the Lion because you have to lock down these FURIA members somehow from doing drastic things. So obviously continue to see that. BDS feeling favorable going into this, obviously. Need to start worrying about this top control here momentarily, but still plenty of time to do that as well. They just want to see currently what's going on around the map. Elem starting to take some damage from down low. Miracle ill-advised inside of the area, but Fantasy there for the refrag, as we'd expect out of FURIA.
FURIA continuing to hold that aggressive control. They continue to maintain across the map right now, especially over here towards Hookah. And that's fending off a lot of the BDS pressure that they would like to try and put from a top-down perspective, but unfortunately they're not going to be able to do. Regardless of the first minute of the round having gone by, Rare's going to rotate back downstairs just to make sure no one tries to push him for the poolside doorway. Away from that here, BDS has already sent a drone in towards Hookah, so they've realized that that's been cleared out, and they're probably going to move in and take control of it themselves in just a moment. Second E1D charge will go off, just another little info dump there, going into the favor of BDS. Probably not going to catch much, though, as there's not really a whole lot being spurred on across the map. Regardless of that fact, though, Shaiko able to find another kill, but once again, traded pretty much immediately by Fantasy from FURIA, and we go down into a 3 versus 3.
Shaiko, one of the most terrifying players to try and stack up against. Overall has the best rating here at LAN at the moment, as well as the best opening kill as well, which is a big boon for BDS as well, and it continues to be one here as Renshiro can get an untradeable kill, get it down into a 3 versus 2, but that doesn't mean that Fantasy can't change things up. Currently inside of Sunrise, looking to get aggressive towards Mud here. Obviously have some solid positioning here onto Shaiko, who could, oh no.
What?
Oh my God, Fantasy, not expecting that kind of aim out of Shaiko. Had the magazine out of the gun and still was able to get ADS'd and find that frag.
All right, Lenda's got another chance right here. This one's a little bit more of a far cry, unfortunately, in a 1v3 situation. The good news is, no one knows he's sneaking up. Okay, never mind. Shaiko on point inside of that round, shutting down nearly every impactful kill the team needed to put them forward there. Beautiful stuff coming out from the pivotal player on BDS to make sure they continue to pick up rounds here. So we're going to be tied up 2-2.
And BDS finding their stride. That initial round, obviously kind of a blunder there from FURIA, but BDS finally able to make something work and get around on deck. It's a big deal, especially with the opening frag game that they had inside of that round that really set precedent over what FURIA were going to be capable of. They obviously try to refrag and try and find some kills across the board, but it just doesn't work this time around. So is it time for FURIA to start seeking adjustments? They're going to be headed towards Hookah Billiards to discover if they need to do so.
So for FURIA, we are going to continue to see them rotate around to these other sites, back upstairs once again into the Hookah hold as it's been unlocked for play. Moose Riesling is obviously going to be the most straightforward site for the defenders to utilize, so we're going to see that brought out yet again. I do want to give a highlight once again to the nice Rainbow Six Share skins that we've been advertising all throughout the tournament here. You can see the FURIA one on your screen now. If you want to go ahead in the store and check those out, a nice reminder that all purchases of the Rainbow Six Share skins directly support your favorite teams throughout all the leagues. So definitely be sure to check those out if you're looking to deck your operators or your weapons out with some nice new skins.
Always gotta love that shop in-game. Always get to support your favorite esports teams, as well as get some really cool skins for guns. And I'll be really honest with you, some of the coolest skins in the entire game are a part of the esports program. So you guys better go and check that out. But either way, we are now underway with round 5 in between these two beautiful squads. We're currently equal at 2-2 in between them. Looks like we're going to have some office presence here from FURIA once again on this defense, but it's going to be quite extended instead. So make sure that possibly no obstacles in their way when it comes to this offense, trying to thwart their plans down low. Just try and get in the way of those plants, those nitro cell plays. Early kill here happening for Fantasies. He'll take down Renshiro. That's going to be the sledge here. So some grenades off deck, but also Rafal starting to take some damage. Oh no, and he overextends himself outside. It's the SMG-11 from downrange, and Fantasy with a double kill now, and now the round completely flipped. It's just like what we saw from FURIA previously.
So FURIA taking control yet again leaves BDS and Lems in a very, very lonely situation. The two of them not even together at this point as well, so for the next couple of seconds at a minimum, they'll be solo pushing, and BDS at least just holding an angle against the main hallway towards the front lobby there, trying to see if maybe he could get lucky, catch a nice early rotate from FURIA, but is not going to happen. No one has any reason to fall back from their positions right now with FURIA maintaining such a heavy advantage, so these two remaining players are going to continue to split up, try to push some way towards the site here. More importantly, try to see if they can use this next 45 seconds or so to pick up some kills before they are forced into the building and forced into a 2v4 to execute.
Really need some opportunity here to bring back some of these frags, but it's mostly down to Alems right now, who is inside the building. BDS more than likely just going to be holding things down from the roof to see if any of the FURIA members want to continue to rotate on that top floor and walk into his gunfire. Either way, though, Lems still has to find a way ahead here. Also has some targets on this side of the map still. Don't exactly know who, but plenty of rotations for him to possibly worry about. Also a drop here. He end up hearing it. Oh my, Fantasy on very low HP, and that LMG has enough damage to get it done.
So yeah, he did hear it. As we're going to see Alems try to continue pushing his way forward. It's a little bit more of a palatable round here, especially with 50 seconds remaining on the clock as well. BDS finally opening up his breach point here. Going to try to hop into the bathroom. We'll find it relatively open. Thankfully, that silhouette, you guys might have thought he just shot at. It's not in VIP. A little bit further back, I think, towards Cool Vibes over there. So BDS got a relatively clear position to play off of. Alems, it's a bit different for him as he's stuck between a rock and a hard place here. A laser gate that's probably going to respawn at any moment, and an easy shot for the members of FURIA to try and reignite that potential. Not to mention the toxic babes, which are currently holding him back too. Alems knows about the reset coming up on the laser gate at any moment, so he is being cautious of that. We might see him push in soon as that reset timer will begin to come up, but another toxic babe is going to continue to hold him back. There's the swing against him, nearly takes him out. He should actually be very careful creeping closer to the toxic smoke itself, because that will happen. As Alems, unfortunately, just kind of walks into his own death there. BDS left alone with only 4 seconds left. To be fair, not really much they could do. And there we go, the predictable end of the round is reached as Miracle shuts it down with the SAS kid, and FURIA continue to hype themselves up as they take the lead away from their opponents yet again.
I'll just remind you guys very quickly that the way that smoke looks is client-sided. So on his screen, probably didn't see any smoke there, but the radius in which the smoke was actually at was there. So unfortunate for him, but that round more than likely not going to go their way. Anyways, a lot of damage coming in onto Alems as he tried to make his entry into billiards there. But now kitchen service for FURIA as they're looking to take their defensive half 4-2.
We will see if they can complete that task. FURIA has been absolutely stellar at putting up this aggression inside of the early round, at minimum slowing down the overall progression in the round from BDS. But to be fair to BDS, they have turned it around as of a few rounds back. However, FURIA once again regaining control back in the 5th round with that aggressive fragging power inside of the mid-round to give them the advantage yet again and close out the 4v2, eventually a 3v2 from that point forward. Final site defense for them is going to be downstairs here on the inside of kitchen and service. Lots of deployable shields going to be coming out, both from the Volcans as well as just actual deployable shields that are being brought to the table. Plenty of nitro cells for the defense to use to punish the top-down angles, which BDS will certainly try to control. And at the same time, FURIA is also going to extend into those very top-down positions and try and deny it as long as possible for BDS.
I really love this operator lineup, especially with the Legion coming in here. I think the Goo Mines are going to have a lot of effectiveness over how BDS are going to attempt to clear this out. All rare, Are you going for the spawn kill?
He
He's
can't
trying
get it. He
to.
can't get
He's
it.
trying to. You got to get up on that box, and you can actually see through the railing on Aquarium Valk right here. And try and kill people coming from, I believe that spawn is Ruins,
No,
but I
he
can't
tagged
remember the
himself.
name off the top of my head. I just know him as like the corners of the map. So either way, though, Rare going to continue to be on this top floor. He's also been read out by that earlier EE1D, so they know that there's presence up here, but they're more than likely not aware of the setup over towards Penthouse yet.
You can see Alems has the angle, and you can see from the yellow pings, he has drone support here against that player as well, so his warning about the potential swings that were going to come around the corner. Still can't necessarily line up the shot. However, second E1D goes out, gives them quick info feed, I believe, onto the position of Lenda back upstairs, but again, nothing actionable since he's very deep on the inside of the site here. BDS continue to just hold the angles for the control that they've gotten for themselves already and look for their first kill opportunity, which might be coming their way, to be fair. FURIA a couple of times has overextended themselves into these angles, which BDS are currently holding, and that's what allowed BDS to get the early advantage in the 2 rounds they won for themselves. FURIA seems to have learned their lesson, though, certainly not encroaching too far into what is now Team BDS's territory, as they have a relatively restrained amount of that aggression across the map.
Patience, the name of the game for BDS, as it has been for most of this game. Just seeing what FURIA will do initially until they want to try and make their next move. Obviously, though, that has led to FURIA jumping ahead quite a few times as they've been able to make their plays and find some very, very serious frags. This might be a chance once again here. Fantasy, no slash when it comes to these gunfights, going to continue to spritz this wall to see if he can catch Renshiro off guard, but not going to work out for him just yet. The shots will continue to endure, but now it's from the other side. Alem's firing back. He'll take down Lenda. Some bullets coming his way as well, though, as it is going on all sides of Coastline right now. You can see how this thing has been split up as well. Alem's trying to hold across Courtyard. High's currently cutting them off for security as well. And we also have this top floor engagement that we could see Fantasy trying to push forward into. Team BDS set up on the west side here. They're trying to figure out what they can possibly get done for Kitchen, but Rare's actually going to get down inside of Lobby, so there could be a change-up coming momentarily.
Huge amount of control out for FURIA, but once again, it's that unweighted aggression which is costing them. Rafal will be able to take down Fantasy, but that's just after Miracle downs one of the members of BDS. Regardless of that fact, though, BDS are making a lot of forward progress right now because FURIA keeps committing to these fights, and BDS are very much ready for that time and time again. Some good news, though, for the FURIA camp is going to be that Rare, at least while downed earlier, will be able to be retrieved. However, the site itself still going to look incredibly weak here. Miracle, the only one that's really on the site, not stretching it here, as he's going to hold a Tarsh angle. Highs will be dropped next here by Shaiko, who's, very smartly still holding the roof at this late point in the round. FURIA thought they could rotate back up, jump down on the assault, and pretty much end this round on a retake, but no, won't be the case. Miracle, a very nice near headshot onto his opponent, but near doesn't count for much here right now. Now it's going to be a very, very rough retake for FURIA in the 2 versus 4 with the case going down onto the ground. Miracle just trying to inch his way back in, but fails to account for BDS staying in the site after the plant goes down, and that'll leave only Rare alive in a 1v4.
Practically impossible for him at the moment with such minimal time to try and defuse. Only 13 seconds remaining for him to actually get on that diffuser and 4 people still alive. So Rare more than likely going down. He'll go down to BDS's hand. Plant as well as a 2K for him, and now you see why there is so much influence from him over BDS. He's just such an incredible support player. You match that up with someone like Shaiko, and you're going to have a lot of trouble.
So a very even half after all, lining pretty well with, and most people don't know this, I was looking up the SI stats, so I usually tend to judge like the map balance by the most recent land statistics.
Of course.
I think I told you this before. This is the most balanced map in the pool right now.
Like defensive to offensive?
Yep, it is the most even 50, like closest to 50-50.
51.
I forget the exact percentage. I just know it's the closest, and it's like really close. It's like within 1 or 2%. So yeah, we are kind of on even terms for that right now at the 3-3 scoreline. Obviously, this land could be different, but I have not looked at those stats yet, so I can't really tell you.
Well, what I can tell you is that we're going to get a 6-pick off of the Blitz. This is something that we've seen brought before, but now it's going to be the Flores instead. And I really like this pick when it comes down to it. Flores, an operator that gives you a lot of utility to be able to, just have that cash available. If somebody gets taken out and you need to get rid of a shield or something along those lines, Flores is your guy. You can just put one of those explosive drones in the building and end up getting rid of a piece of utility that was annoying you before. So we'll see if FURIA are able to achieve that. As for the rest of the lineup, making a heck of a lot of sense, especially in Lenda's case. We have been seeing him pop off on this Twitch.
Certainly the case. So we'll see what type of power that Twitch is going to bring to the table. Obviously, Lenda, one of the more stand-up players here right now for the FURIA roster, next to the likes of Miracle and Fantasy, of course, the big highlight on the team throughout the week so far here, as they try to push themselves forward and repeat those 3 rounds, maybe with 1 extra as well. They're trying to close things out here in regulation, but BDS, like we said, despite that slow start, seems to have awakened quite nicely now, tying up the scoreline here, now bringing us their own flair to the defensive half. TCSG pick over there on Rafal too, not always getting that so much anymore, just wanted to point that out real quick. It should be interesting to see if he can leverage anything with that, because we have seen in the past what that gun can do. Unfortunately, it's been nerfed quite heavily since then.
Absolutely. No way though, 35 seconds into the round here now, and it's been cool, calm and collected from both of these teams. No overextension up until Fantasy just simply starts working his way into sight. Nitro sell out, lots of damage onto Rafal. Somebody needs to assist this man. Thank you, Renshiro. Oh my,
Oh, and
you
Renshiro.
cannot let something like that happen. Poor Rafal was just getting bullied inside of sight. He's gonna get down. BDS is gonna take a lot of damage as well, but at least he'll get Fantasy for their trouble. But now a frag grenade instantaneously bounced in from highs. FURIA just thinking on another plane of existence right now.
Lots of pressure boiling in there for FURIA, and why not, since they were given so much free access there. Fantasy, at least, was given so much free access to the inside of the site. Kind of surprised we haven't seen an attempt to revive Rafal as of yet, but these are some tight positions. So now, as Rare moves in, he'll be able to take out one. Nearly gets the Mozzie, and he does get the Mozzie. Oh, that's your teammate, Rare! It was nice, don't get me wrong, but it was your teammate. Okay, now you got some enemies in front of you. There you go, that's better. As Rare's gonna move in, take out, there's the triple kill. Heck, technically it's a quad now, but I guess teammates don't count. That'll open up the path for his teammate. Don't shoot this one this time. But try and put the case down on the ground. Lems, in the meanwhile, slowly creeping up. He's gonna give us some nice headshots of his own. 1, 2, and 3! As he responds insanely well and brings it right back under the control of BDS. What a round!
I've never seen a round like that at Rainbow Six Siege in my entire life.
That was the most pop-off round I have ever seen.
Oh my god. Oh my. Okay, so let's get into this really quickly. They initially just push Fantasy right into billiards. He gets something done, right? He's going to end up downing the gentleman that you just saw on your screen there. So what does FURIA do? Well, they have a couple of options. They can obviously try and play things out somewhat normally, but that isn't what they wanted to do in the slightest, actually. So instead what they do is they immediately shove up with the Flores and just start fragging out everyone. He jumps over into couches, takes out the down player, immediately flicks behind him, kills another one, takes out the gentleman going through the rotation hole, and then kills his own teammate. So, you know, it's
he was in the moment. You like, don't step in front of me, guys. I'm gonna shoot you.
Oh my! It's like if I don't know, man. I don't even know what it's like.
He was in the headshot zone right there. He couldn't be stopped.
It's like when the flow state just comes back to bite you. Like, oh, I'm sorry, teammate. Yeah, you blinked and now you're dead. So
it's like when he killed his teammate, he like cursed it, gave it to a Lems or something like that. Either way, so great rebound off that situation from a Lems. Arguably just
should have never have
just as impressive, if not more impressive than the play we saw from Rare in the mid round there. But either way, it puts BDS ahead in the situation now at a 4-3 scoreline. Sends us, I believe, into the double bar sights here for our next defense.
Okay, so now that we're out of the twilight zone, hopefully we can get back to somewhat normal play. I don't really know. Hopefully we see some more craziness from FURIA, because that round was absolutely insane. They're also going to be bringing in Rare on the Nook here, so we'll see if they want to do any sneaky plays. This is something that John was talking about a little bit earlier with some of the aggression that we've seen from APAC as well, is that they like to just sneak around a little bit, look for that surgical aggression. They don't want to overextend themselves and then just shove immediately in when the time is right. But for FURIA, obviously that last round, not exactly that. Simply walking into sight, just dealing with the utility along the way and trying to get these frags. Rare, more than likely going to get read out pretty early here. There's not very many operators. I don't even think there is another operator on offense that actually has the FMG9 as a primary, just off the top of my head. So more than likely knowing that it's going to be Nook.
So let's see here now. So we do have the Nook coming into play for FURIA. Interesting to see how Rare will try to insert it into the situation. This is one of the few maps where we actually get play. To be fair, it's still pretty rare, but from time to time we'll see that Nook counter come in here and try to see if they can get that sneaky insertion, especially into like a sort of mid-round situation. If a team is not heavily pushing multiple angles they would normally use to take a site, if one of those is left relatively empty, the Nook can usually be pretty good for trying to send someone in that direction, especially if the defense has kind of realized that the main attack is not going to come from that way and gives up most of that positioning. To start start the round, though, we're going to see Rafal get dropped, more than likely from a frag coming in from Kitchen there. A nice bank if it did hit there, as that had to roll pretty far. And it just has to roll a teeny bit more to get the kill. Nicely done by Heis.
That was a beautiful nade there from Heis. Renshiro will at least be able to get a frag of his own to keep things equal. On to Fantasy, worried about somebody trying to pressure his office, but not before Lenda takes down one of his own as well. It's going to be all sight play here for BDS. Renshiro walking around trying to find something, but oh no, an oversight. They don't remember that Heis is actually inside of Kitchen. That's where those frag grenades poured in from originally, and he has not moved at all. Another kill going the way of Furia.
Shaiko looking for a way to respond, but he's going to find a way to keep himself alive, and that's a good way to do it. Nice headshot against Rare, near headshot, I suppose, to take down Rare and eliminate him from the situation. That Nook, unfortunately, not finding the impact that Furia would have liked. Still, though, in the 3 versus 2 situation here, Shaiko continuing to hold arguably one of the most important positions right now for Furia, trying to press themselves forward into the attack itself. The player on the inside of Kitchen, I believe, realizes it and is going to rotate away, going for a different route into the site, as they'll be opening up the corner of the wall leading into blue, allowing for, hopefully, what will be an easy plant.
All right, well, one of those goo mines will go up top inside of Hookah, so they know that Sledge will be around the area. Shaiko on very low HP, but that doesn't mean that he can't get something done. He's already done so much inside of this game. Positioning from him, Hai's going to take a lot of heat upstairs, and now Shaiko try and go for the attempted retake of the top floor. Miracle going for the plant as well, so they're going to need some smoke, but it's so very late by Bride. Shaiko will actually be able to win the engagement up top. Poor Hai's hanging out of the hatch there, just hanging around, trying to see if his team can possibly get this done. They'll be able to at least take down Shaiko. Obviously, Bride with an opportunity, but Lenda reads it perfectly through Kitchen, and Furia feeling heated after that.
I think Furia is just mad they didn't win the round before more than anything after that great play from Rare. But either way, a nice rebound coming in from Furia keeps the matchup close, keeps the matchup very competitive at a tied heat of 4-4 on the scoreline here. It's up to BDS to decide where they want to go next, and they're going to keep things downstairs here. Kitchen Service is where they will shift over towards next, as one of the more default defensive sites we tend to see.
So far for BDS, it's been kind of a troublesome path. At least when it comes to the frag department, it's been a lot of back and forth in between the two. BDS obviously having their moments, but Furia really taking it when it comes down to it. I feel like BDS are someone on the back foot pretty often, but they're able to reconcile with that and get these rounds. We've seen at least one very positive round for BDS where they practically just wiped the board with Furia. But past that, Furia have always had an opportunity to find some frags of their own and just give BDS a hard time. Speaking of BDS, they'll be going down to Kitchen here, and this is actually looking quite similar to the lineup that we saw from Furia for this exact same site, especially with the Goyo and the laser gates.
See if anything else comes in terms of creativity on the overall setup here. Not looking like it, just your usual rotate being set up by the Aruni to get between the two sites, as well as the reinforcements and utility, which need to be deployed as well here by Shaiko's operator. We're just going to see those laser gates go down now. Everything looking fairly standard for what you would normally expect to get out of a Kitchen and Service defense. Plenty of other support utility here for the defenders too, such as the Banshee by the door that will need to be handled by Furia before they can commit themselves to an attack. Before they even think about going towards Service, though, more than likely they're going to try to deal with the setup, which is being deployed right now upstairs.
More than likely going to have to go through with that. Obviously try and go for a service plant or something along those lines if they so choose, but to see exactly what is in the cards for Furia. They'll be starting themselves off on the northwest side of the map, starting things with Hookah, obviously going to have roof pressure as well, as you would expect for Coastline. But this begins the long process, turning out this top floor and seeing what BDS have going on in this area. It'll be Heis here to try and figure that out. We'll at least be able to see the drone here inside of Penthouse, and this is that moment when they start trying to put together the pieces of the puzzle. What is the next step? Where are the areas that we can get map control immediately? And that's going to answer the question for Fantasy. He's going to start moving in from Aquarium to start helping with this side of the map overall.
Nice use of the explosive drone. Will come in here and take care of the Goyo shield that's positioned right on the 90 corner. Missed completely, unfortunately, by the defenders here on BDS, so that is going to go off without too much of a hitch. Deal with at least one part of this extended setup, but there is another facet which needs to be dealt with before it will be truly cleared out, and that's going to be what exists on the inside of the theater room. That also looks like getting dealt with pretty quickly by, I'm going to guess, was another explosive drone as that goes away, and now only the reinforced walls are really all that's left.
Fall will get droned out. has a Lems in tow as well, as they'll both hightail it down white. They want nothing to do with this Furia clear, and can you exactly blame them? Especially when they have artillery like this coming in. Nitro Cell take down highs. It's going to be a positive start here, especially taking out the sledge. It's a huge deal when it comes to this vertical play. Wasn't able to get much done with it either. There really seems to be only about 2 to 3 holes across the entire board, so they'll have to try and figure out some other way to apply pressure to these BDS members downstairs in kitchen. Looks like they might just be trying to go for this straight up horizontally. They have a minute here, so they'll at least be able to adopt what's going on. It looks like Fantasy's trying to look over at another monitor to possibly see if there is somebody in that area. It looked like they might have had a drone there, and he was trying to line things up. Either way, he's going to walk away from it. Lenda gets taken out off of some information from a Lems and a beautiful shot from Blue Bar. Fantasy will find one of his own, though, and immediately gets refragged from Renshiro inside of sight, just not seemingly aware of the angle.
So tough here for Furia to try and make progress. As you can see, those trade setups are brutal, and Furia unfortunately needs to commit to the inside of them to make any real progress. Rare trying to commit, Rare trying to commit himself to the inside of the kitchen window there, but quickly turns it around due to a Banshee on the wall, and trying to repeat it pays the price. Lems very much a race car swing, trying to take him down there, leaving only Miracle in the fight in a 1v4. Not really any realistic amount of time to play this out either, with only 20 seconds remaining. I think he's just going to chill on the outside of the building, use this last 20 seconds for the IGL and the leadership of Furia to continue talking things over. And as a result of that, BDS more than likely going to be closing this one out for the next 10 seconds here as they'll take their 5th round.
Miracle won't even be able to get the first one. Lems ends up winning the gunfight off of really strong effort on the defense. Absolutely love what they did with that top floor and their ability to get out at the last moment. That was the biggest thing there. We saw the push starting to come from Furia, especially from the Aqua luggage side. They were starting to extend people up through that area, and it would have made it very difficult for BDS to try and escape what was going on in the Penthouse Theater part of the map. So they're able to escape as well as take out Sledge in the process with that Nitro Cell, and from that point on, Furia really don't have anything that they can really do. There's no horse inside of this race. The vertical play is one of those things that is almost a necessity for that site to try and apply pressure. They tried to go horizontal instead, and the angles are just too strong from BDS.
All right, so Furia's going to call for their tactical timeout now here inside of the 10th round, or at least the pre-round for the 10th round, and we'll see if they can come up with the winning change-ups. Like I said, BDS controlling a very nice amount of late-round aggression here for their defensive side, not really trying to swing out against the Furia players until we start to see them get a little bit too close to the setups, and when they go into their trade setups, that is here. So yes, BDS might lose 1 or 2 players inside of those early fights, but in the large majority of occurrences here, we've seen them pretty much immediately trade that out because of the great support that's being utilized among their teammates here. Furia needs some way to tear that apart or bring these players into more exposed positions so they can take them down outright and try to leverage that advantage into a more palatable attack.
Man, for being down around from BDS right now, it is all smiles for Furia during this tactical timeout. So again, the vibes are high. We told you guys earlier, they literally walked into the arena bumping music the entire time. They were ready for this matchup. They're ready for this series, and so far it has not disappointed. All right, guys, tactical timeout finally done in between these two as we can get back into the game. Obviously, BDS still on defense here, so it's going to be hookah billiards for them.
We shall see as we are coming to the end of the road here now. 2 rounds is all that BDS need, and also only 3 rounds left inside of the regulation time itself. So for Furia, we need to see some success come out from them, otherwise we could realistically find BDS running away with the rest of these rounds here to pick up only the first map, to be fair, but very much the first map of this series. Aside from that, once again, fairly standard setup. BDS has, for the most part, not been giving us anything too crazy when it comes to the way that they are playing these sites. Look, we even get the nice little bulletproof camera in the wall, which is very annoying for the attackers to deal with because this thing is nearly impenetrable.
Yeah, it becomes pretty problematic at the end of the day. Not only do you have to burn the gate, but you actually have to approach it.
You have to get right next to it to get enough of an angle to get rid of that thing.
Well, the good news is nowadays you can actually punch them.
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
So they can't see you.
They can still hear from that, though.
Yeah, obviously.
But yeah, I'll admit that is limited usefulness.
Well, you know, unless like you're a whale, and you're able to use like sonar detection, I guess. But
hey, man, you never know. Someone made some software for that a few years ago.
Oh man, hey, don't give them any ideas, okay? Do not give them any ideas. All right, well, moving into round 10 now, folks. As for Furia, no big changeup here, honestly. 10F Fantasy here on the Yana. We'll see how much traction they can get with this hologram as they begin to break down the map, starting off on the penthouse side. No real pressure here from BDS. They'll be playing this one pretty close to the chest on the 2 separate floors that we have to offer here on Coast. Just making sure that FURIA can't get underneath them and try and deal with anything in that direction. Obviously, with that control as well, BDS can use those nitro cells to the fullest extent, try and get some damage off, and FURIA more than likely going to want to counter that out later on. They just want to make sure to lock down these staircases around the map first.
FURIA, a very slow process. Once again, this is good news, though, because of the fact that they've tried to play things more direct. They've tried to get in the faces of BDS early on here, usually at best only leading to a 1-for-1 exchange, and at worst, usually leading to 1 or 2 of their players going down outright at the beginning of the round. So I think that this slow approach is very much what is needed right now for FURIA here. They need to figure out what the setup looks like and tear it apart all in one go here, because BDS are all set up as one solid unit. It's not going to be easy to just sneak kills left and right off this setup.
Well, Aqua going to be the staging ground here for FURIA. Obviously seeing the bulletproof already. It's been burnt away, nade out as well, and it will indeed get it, so they'll at least be able to clear that up. No longer have to worry about that information. Also another nade going out. It's going to go way too far. Doesn't end up dealing damage to anyone. But as we get down to the last minute here, BDS know that FURIA more than likely going to try and jump ahead. They want to try and get aggressive and find these frags. Alem's already taken some damage, but he's safe right now inside of Hookah. Rare, though, be able to kill Renshiro downstairs as he was trying to hold things off inside of Mud. Possibly going for a late rotation, especially with Aruni. She's able to pop those doors instantaneously with her metal arms, so want to make sure to stave that off. Now FURIA need to try and surge forward. It's so grueling right now in between these two. Smoke out, Shaiko looking for one, but doesn't know the exact position of these FURIA members. At Nitro Cell not going to hit much. Rare will at least be able to get Alems as we go down into the 5 versus 3.
Perfect change-up so far in the strategy here from FURIA. Once again, waiting for the BDS roster to make mistakes, and that's a big one right there. Rare able to negotiate his 3rd kill in the round, and now Shaiko, the only hope left as the rest of his team crumbles around him. 3 players still standing tall for the FURIA roster here. Shaiko trying to move forward to deny the plan. He succeeds in doing it. There's only 10 seconds to make up for it, but thankfully Miracle's in a great position at the top of Cool Vibes to quickly trade that kill out and give the round over to FURIA, tying us up again.
That was very scary for everyone at home, I guarantee it, because you get that perspective of Shaiko, and there's literally no FURIA member besides the one planting over near Aqua. And you're just like, where is everybody? Isn't somebody supposed to make sure this guy lives? But either way, they're able to find their way towards site before Shaiko can get too much done. They're able to take him down. We're equalized once again here at 5-5.
So, this is now time for BDS to show us their own adaptation, or maybe a bit of a different site setup here to try to trip up FURIA. You could see in the mid-round, a few members of BDS trying to eventually get aggressive, whether it was just trying to swing out for peeks real quick to look for info or outright looking for duels. But either way, that's what started the process. FURIA getting 2 of those right at the beginning of the round to get so much of an advantage and then slowly crunch the round to the site. And yes, lost a couple more players onto the site, but they had a 5v3 at that point, so they didn't really have to worry too much about that raids with such a heavy advantage going into their favor. You can bet that's probably the way that FURIA are going to try to play out the rest of these rounds now, since they found a winning formula, and the more direct, aggressive style wasn't really working in the earlier rounds.
Yeah, we'll see. I honestly don't think that we're going to see that exact play style for the entirety of this. I think this is FURIA's time to start really toying with this pacing. That was a very slow, grinding round. There was really not too much going on. It was all information game, simple map control, working their way in and seeing what BDS want to try and do going into that last minute. They try and catch FURIA off guard with the swings, but FURIA were prepared for that. That was a game plan in the first place, and they're able to get some very big frags that made it almost impossible for BDS to try and bring it back. But now, as we go into round 11, we can see the changeup yet again here. Plenty of information here for FURIA as well, so we'll see if they're able to abuse that to the fullest.
See Rare first up to bat, just taking care of some barricades, though nothing earth-shattering here as far as what he is trying to gain in terms of info and control over the map. Just a quick peek into the site to see what exactly is going to be there, and more importantly, what he can send this explosive drone into, to try and take care of here. I believe he's going to try to get the camera sitting on the wall right there. Oh, so close.
Wait, isn't that the camera that Rin was trying to put up earlier and
it was.
He couldn't?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Oh, I feel bad for Rin. No, that sucks. Either way, though, not able to get the bulletproof camera here for FURIA, and once again we're going to reach this moment where simply just trying to work the outside of the building. Do not want to give over these frags to BDS because they know if they do, that's more than likely the round. So FURIA trying to see if they can get BDS to make mistakes. Obviously, that Flores drone not working out earlier on. They're going to be starting off on the east side of the map, actually, so not as direct as they were going prior. We'll at least be able to get that bulletproof camera down the hallway, so Fantasy will have some area to work with without peeping eyes from BDS.
Yeah, they missed it.
Oh, it actually got ADS. They just sort of turned back on. It was right next to the kitchen door, so very nicely done there from BDS, really thinking ahead on that.
And that's going to be a waste of the go in 6, unfortunately, for our attacker that threw it out there. Have to try and use something else to deal with that later on in the round, or you're just not going to push down that hallway, which is probably the realistic option that Fury's going to end up taking here. Fantasy in position to try and move over into office, but look at those silhouettes up on top of it. This could be very dangerous for FURIA if they don't catch it. So much building up to drop right down on top of this push. But at the same time, Lenda trying to put Overwatch on it only gives an opportunity towards Alems there to immediately shut down a member for FURIA. Great nade from Fantasy on the rebound, though. Trades out onto Shaiko and keeps us even.
Well, the office player leaving for BDS, so FURIA able to push forward and actually get a frag grenade onto Shaiko. That's a big pickup as well. He's been having heck of a game so far, but you could also see the same about Bride and Alems. Alems currently 12-7-3 as well. This roam game for him, so well done so far. Trying to search forward yet again here, not able to find the frag on Aquarium balcony, but still able to hold space here, which means FURIA has to try and come and get him. He'll continue to play this out on couch, but is he aware of the player? It's currently rotating through Aquarium. Also has a cutoff here for Rare, who's actually out top on Blacktop. Instead drops down as they're going to start looking for the plant now. Alems, though, with a big pickup. Bride with one of his own, and Team BDS are running away with this round. It's practically impossible at this moment for Fantasy inside of this 1v4. He'll start looking for frags. He'll be able to at least get one, but that's more than likely going to be it. BDS reach map point first.
BDS holding on. Fantasy still putting some frags on the board there right at the end, but obviously not enough to leverage the round itself.
You good, Alems? Are you all right, man?
I was getting very excited.
Oh, dude, I thought I had ADHD. That was just like...
All right, so Alems and the rest of BDS starting to get excited. They finally locked in again on the winning strategy here. FURIA once more struggling to find their footing on the mid portion of that round. They get themselves in, yes, but they are immediately stopped as BDS creep their way out slowly, making to surround themselves over FURIA, starting with that push through luggage and resulting closer to the site by the end of the map. BDS, only one opportunity to shut this down, however, before things immediately go to overtime. If FURIA can continue the seesaw that we generally have had inside of this map and take us to a 6-6 scoreline.
I think that round right there you can really represent just by the defensive matrix of lineups that was taken up by BDS there. We saw a lot of different LOSs abused to keep FURIA out of sight. The best one, honestly, probably being Bride's prone angle there, that he was able to catch that kill inside of a courtyard with. So, you know, there was a lot of influence there that FURIA wasn't aware of the situation, and BDS were able to capitalize upon it. FURIA just not really having a hand in any of that. Even with that top clear when it came down to it, they tried so very hard to have BDS make a mistake, but Alems was just better.
So for BDS, the opportunity is here right now. Once again, going to go for just a pretty standard setup here inside of the kitchen and service deployment. No crazy operators or anything like that being brought to the table, and for the most part, same can be said for our attackers as well. Lenda going to be bringing that Twitch back into the fold, though, but we've been seeing that pretty consistently here for FURIA on the inside of this series already, so that won't be too much of a surprise to anybody who has been paying attention. Away from that, though, BDS still with a couple aggressive positions out and about. We'll see if any of them will clash with the early pushes from FURIA. We do have something boiling up here towards security in the front door, but probably not going to end up happening ultimately. Renshiro as well holds the back line over here towards the Sunrise bar. That is the early warning system if we see the push from FURIA head into that direction. Of course, we have the two Goyo shields deployed upstairs too. FURIA has been trying to clear this out pretty much every single round it's been deployed, so it's a great opportunity for BDS to play in, waste some time, as well as prevent the sledge from getting access to all of the top-down angles, which will surely push any of the hard positions from BDS out of kitchen.
Yeah, and possibly get some frags here as well. Being able to play off these Goyo shields is a really, really big deal, especially with people that are mechanically prowessed, because the ability to hide yourself behind that shield and use that as constant cover to jiggle off of is just such a great thing to have, especially in these hard to play positions like what we have for BDS currently. These two Goyo shields set up and ready for war when it comes to FURIA. And FURIA here and ready as well. It's going to be Miracle inside of Guitar. He starts to burn these ADSs out, but they're going to need some assistance from some explosive utility in order to actually deal with this Goyo shield.
Rafal will be the first challenger here against the Hall of Fame push. That's assuming it happens, as Furia only has one player committed to this right now, so things are going to sit in a little bit of desperate position for that player. The second one does group up with that. That's why we're going to see the X-Kairos start to go out, deal with the positioning here. Rafal threw the Nitro Cell into the open, I think originally to deal with the X-Kairos.
I think that he thought about it, and he was like, if I set this off, my Goyo shield's going to blow up.
Yeah.
Fantasy! Did he get the down? He didn't. Shaiko still alive.
The nade, though.
He needs to escape. Yeah, the frag grenade coming in on top of him, but he immediately reclaims space. Drone here as well, though. Is it backing off now? Does not want to walk into Fantasy. He's been so consistent in his shot so far. More than likely would be Shaiko's demise. Bride going to get a kill as well as Fantasy. Trying to clear out Theater, but Rafal playing so very close to this door right now. Just right on the other side of the flames, licking at his heels. Oh, Rafal. Oh no, it's the pre-fire. If he oversteps, he sees him. Oh, the damage finally coming in from the Vector. He'll have to back it up with a pistol as he continues to hold on to the top floor. Rare up next to the plate here. Moves up to the door, knows exactly the positioning of the Goyo, but he can't get the shots to land. Rare, the gunfight, where is it? There it is, finally. He'll take down Rafal, and with 30 seconds remaining, get himself down into the 2 versus 2.
A lot of time wasted for BDS, but at the same time, their man count's been drained just as much as Furia's has. In the 2v2 we go. And is that going to be enough for BDS to fend off the push from Furia? Furia's a little bit split up here as well, only keeping the Ashe upstairs. Miracle playing from a different position right now, but Rare going to try to jump down. Even better, Miracle picking up the first kill against Shaiko. Bride is all that's left, and he doesn't even see his last opponent. Furia tie it up and take us to overtime inside of the first map.
Well, I think everyone expected a good game, but I don't know if people expected Furia to pressure BDS in this way. We're overtime here on Coastline, and honestly, Furia is a very, very good Coastline team. I'll call back to this for you guys as well. Just remember that Furia did indeed force overtime and beat SSG on this map inside of group stage. This is one of those ones that SSG just thought, hey, we'll take them to Coastline. What's the worst thing that could happen? Well, overtime and you lose. So we'll see what happens for BDS this time around.
So far for BDS, while they are holding on, not necessarily excelling either here, as they're only able to get themselves to the 6-point first. Not able to push themselves all the way past it.
It's the reverse Uno card. First we went Blitz to Flores, now we're going Flores to Blitz.
As Rare is going to bring out the interesting one here to see if that true changeup will amount to anything for Furia inside of overtime. A big change on the strategy for sure, but also may allow for some more direct plays. I'll be honest, we haven't really seen a whole lot of that from Furia, only really 1 or 2 attempts to do so. This gives them an really unquestionable amount of aggressive capability by bringing the shield, but it is a big risk as that operator is very, very easy to shut down if he's alone. For pros, anyway.
Indeed, my friend.
For playing gold, it's a bit of a different story.
Yeah, you know, I feel like it's always a different story at like.
Can never hit his dang legs. I don't know what it is.
You can never hit Blitz's legs?
Or his feet, yeah.
Oh man, that's so unfortunate. Honestly, this is one of those operators that if he's good, he's broken. But if he's bad, he's underwhelming. Yeah. So but there's really no happy spot for Blitz.
He either looks like a god or a fool.
Exactly. But like, there's legitimately no happy place for Blitz inside of the meta. He's either way too good or way too bad, and there is no in between. It does not exist because people just simply hate shield operators. I'll be honest with you. But now Furia obviously going to be out and onto the field as we're 20 seconds into the first attempt at an overtime round here in between these two, and a big kill coming in from Fantasy as well as Rafal's going to go down. Not having the greatest round so far, not the greatest map, but Lems with a heck of a kill onto Miracle will at least be able to equalize. That's also going to be the hard breach going down.
Shot on the hard breach, to be fair, the hard breach wasn't going to be absolutely necessary for the attack here. It certainly would have helped to open up some of the side angles that Furia may have wanted to take to get some greater actual positioning to push into the site here. Speaking of the Blitz, which we were talking about quite a bit before, it is in position to move in. Highs will more than likely be his support. At the moment, though, Highs still droning things out on the inside of the site to check and make sure that it's clear. And now it looks like Rare himself is going to do a bit of self-droning to make sure that the Sunrise push is potentially clear if he wants to go for that.
All right, well, as the map falls silent in between these two bodies lay on the ground as it's a 4v4. Furia still trying to process what they can possibly get done with this office control here on the west-hand side. Lems obviously able to at least get a drone on this roam game. He's going to continue to hold on to luggage upstairs, seeming aware that there could possibly be somebody on the roof that he wants to try and take control of and find a frag. And speaking of frags, Renshiro will get one of his own as he's simply holding the angle for security on the way from Beer. To find that frag now, and Furia on their back leg. Rare, though, could obviously throw a monkey wrench in this mix because that's exactly what he is. This blitz at any moment in time could honestly do some pretty scary things, especially if they're able to isolate somebody.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Continue to move in here. Lenda, of course, going first, interestingly enough. At the moment, just giving Rare the case, wanting to have him plan, as they will need these other players to frag out a little bit as they work their way in. And Blitz, unfortunately, not going to be the most potent operator for trying to pick up frags. Boarding a plant, that'd be a different story here. But in we go with 50 seconds left. This will be an early commitment, too. Rare's going to move right through the smoke setup. His team will only support him for the back line. Lenda is going to be able to find one of those lines up, but both Lenda and Rare get dropped literally a second later. Highs is all that's left. He's already lost a large majority of his HP, and while he's traded a bit onto Shaiko, without a single position on the inside of the building, he's truly in a very rough position right now. Still, is going to have to try and go for this eventually. There's even look like a bulletproof or some form of camera right behind the wall right there that's giving vision onto his push. So wherever he goes, he unfortunately isn't going to be at a massive disadvantage against the BDS roster. Things are looking good for them to claim that initial round. Even as he opens up the front door, finds out there's a laser gate here. He just can't win right now for Highs. Unfortunately, no real way for this man to move forward. Even if he tries to go through the gate, he'd kill himself. So this is going to be the end of the round, folks. BDS are going to take it, and they go up 7-6.
Well, Alemzo at least loses life, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. We'll just tell you because it's kind of our job. Besides that, though, BDS, they've just been able to find their mark up against Furia when it matters most. This offense obviously meaning quite a bit. Furia forcing them into overtime, but can BDS get it done on the offensive side of the coin? That defense definitely stood tall, though, up against Furia. I think it was really the picks that did it early on. Furia just not really having an opportunity to get control back like they wanted to make an attempt, and obviously getting down to that 1vx situation, it was practically impossible given the amount of health that Highs had, and really the dwindling options after the last frag grenade.
So, things look good for BDS to take control, but now again, the sides flip and they go over towards the attack. Can they bring us one more of those attacking rounds? Pretty much the same lineup that we were already seeing on the inside of the regulation rounds for them, with the main emphasis being on the Lion there to try to give them info when they go for their aggressive pushes. Furia, as they jump back onto the defense, are also giving us a similar flair as they will head back into the hookah and billiard site for their one and only overtime defensive round.
Okay, so looking across the board at this lineup, we could see some decently aggressive plays here from Furia. They'll be setting the bulletproof cam once again to watch billiards, as we saw BDS pressured that the last time, but they handled it quite quickly. Obviously, that is a routine thing that's starting to happen more and more on this site, so people getting more and more used to clearing it as well. Besides that point, though, Lenda's still going to be on the vigil here, and this is where some of that aggression we could see early on inside of the rounds. He's already used 2 of those impacts as well, whether they be for rotation holes or hatches, we'll more than likely see later on. But we are going to have some aggressive plays to start us off, and of all operators to be doing it, it's Miracle on Smoke, peeking billiards double.
We talked about the SS operators many, many times. Important to note that mute ban, once again, too, throw it off our defenders a little bit and removing that usually slightly more aggressive SS operator, which brings the same kit to the table. The Smoke, you do want to try and keep his utility in check for late round situations, although it doesn't mean we never see any type of aggressively played smokes, as we're seeing right now, in fact, on Miracle, because he really just doesn't have a choice. EE1D charge is starting to go out here to give that early intel if anyone from Furia is moving around. Don't believe anything is going to be figured out, however. We're going to end up with BDS. Still no info to play off of here, and the large majority of them still either just sitting outside of the building or just now moving in over towards the master side.
All slow and steady for BDS right now, trying to do their best to abuse these EE1Ds. Vigil very close to Shaiko right now, unbeknownst to him. Oh, and a great shot there from Fantasy. Beautiful stuff there. And also, I believe, 0 audio right now as well, but we can still see the game. This is obviously not for the players, so we're still going to continue on as this round is extremely important, and the last thing that any of us want to do is try and reset this. So, Lenda.
And it's back.
Hey, Lenda fixed it. We just needed the ERC7. We just had to, get rid of the mute that was banned.
So there we go. That'll fix things up nice and quick for us there. And
they made mute mad. That's what happened.
I guess that's one good thing of you being banned now. No mute bug.
Indeed. Indeed, my friend.
Maybe that's why they banned him. You never know. But either way, halfway through the round here, and oh man, a brutal pump of the shotgun coming out there from Miracle. It's on the head of Alems, taking him down, putting Furia into a better and better position. This hesitation from BDS and the one-by-one insertion of their more aggressive players not leading to any one fights in their favor here. Now an unfortunate 3v5 deficit that they'll have to try and fight back from.
Well, BDS No stranger to this situation as FURIA has been able to adopt this lead before. This time around, though, not going to have any EU1Ds to really assist in this situation. Rafal already using his remaining one. Not able to get anything done off of the back of his utility either. So now he's just another guy with another gun trying to take out some FURIA members. This LATAM squad simply sitting on their hands, waiting for the next move from BDS. And Shiro going to continue to hold things down on Hookah, while the rest of his team is spinning around the map. We've got Rafal obviously inside of luggage. Bride will be here as well to assist. So we'll be able to at least start stacking up on this side of the building. But oh no, Fantasy, almost a very clean shot onto Bride, but Bride better in the moment. He'll take him down on the flank. But now the smoke play is starting to come in. This situation almost impossible as Lenda will take down one. Renshiro will be able to refrag. Some beautiful shots coming in from him, but Lenda will be able to follow that up swimmingly. Rafal will have to back off here, and that's going to be the round as FURIA are able to tie it up once again. We're down to the last round here on Coastline to decide this map between these two.
Quite literally bouncing our way back and forth all the way up to this scoreline here. We now go to round 15. One final round does decide it. But it's BDS on the defensive side here, where they generally have had an advantage. And FURIA as well, back on the attack, where things have been a little rocky. Although, to be fair to them, they did start to figure it out towards the end of the regulation. So we'll see if that is going to carry through into this round here for BDS. Unfortunately, on that attack once more, trying to insert lone individual players into these hard setups for FURIA, losing 2 of them right at the beginning of the round, and then trying to go for a standard execute. It just does not pan out on the mathematics there of trying to trade that out. Not to mention the fact that they more than likely did not have enough utility at that point to clear out what the defenders were presenting on the site.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest thing, and it's usually one of the topics that we end up touching on when it comes to Rainbow Six, is just the amount of utility you have going into those moments. That's why those early picks are so very important. It's not just that, you know, obviously one of your teammates died, it's the fact of what they carry along with them. It's especially dependent on the operator that they're playing, you know what I mean? So this is one of those things you always have to be cognizant of, and that's why, honestly, we've been so surprised with the APAC playstyle as well as some of the LATAM playstyle as well, where they're able to get these massive refrags coming in later on into the round and are actually able to equalize man count and make it difficult for these teams to try and do what they want to do inside of the dying moments. We really haven't seen that inside of this game between these two. It's been pretty set in stone as to who the victors are going to be, but obviously we've also had some pretty crazy rounds as well.
So let's see here. We got one crazy round left between these two teams. We've already started it off. FURIA proceeding from their spawn to the front of the building now. BDS as well will start to deploy their web of a defensive matrix and try and stop FURIA from making their mark here, picking up the 2 rounds in a row that they need to win this map, set themselves up with a 1-0 advantage. Obviously, the closest matchup we could get here between these two teams, as we have literally gone back and forth for pretty much the entire game. Oh, this drone hopping its way in, gonna sneak right up to both the laser gate as well as the deployable shield. And the Sicker stance only gonna deal with the deployable shield, though you can't really knock the laser gate out that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes. Secondly, you literally can't destroy the laser
literally can't knock it out.
Which is like...
Just try to avoid overloading people with info. But.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And that one's a very unique piece of utility as well in the way that that works. So they're going to have to end up trying to burn it instead, and you can obviously get the reset after that. So more than likely, guys, the audio will come back here in a little bit. But again, I just want to make you aware so you guys aren't checking your headphones. There's nothing wrong on your end. We'll see if Alems can fix it for us again, and... he did. So thank you, Alems. Thank you for playing Vigil, and thank you for doing what you do. As for now, though, about halfway through this round, not too much action happening around the map either. FURIA is still trying to find a way into this building. BDS with the spread defense here, trying to make sure that FURIA cannot capture map control in the way that they want to, especially horizontally. Look at this control from BDS.
A lot to work with here for them, and unfortunately for FURIA, just very little of it actually being challenged as of yet, save for the Hookah top down, which we can see High starting to deploy towards down. The problem for High is, as far as I can tell, he has 0 support except for this drone, which is just going to run by him now to check the bottom of the stairs. So he has to be very, very careful about how he's opening up this pathway down further into the site there. A little bit more support now that we're getting a better view of things, now that we can notice over inside of Billiards rather over there. But at the same time, that player was also busy taking care of things, so need to be a little bit cautious with how they proceed. Starts out well for BDS though. Shaiko finds the opening kill against Miracle, knocking out the Hibana, as well as that potential hard breach, which would have been useful for opening up an easier path into blue.
This could be quite problematic for FURIA going forward inside of this round, especially with the time frame here. BDS, a lot of control, and FURIA have not been able to fight for literally any of it. They've only gotten hookah and begun to break this up, and everyone's already aware of the positioning upstairs, so they've already adjusted themselves accordingly. Frag Grenade's now starting to come out from Fantasy, but it looks like they're going to have to stack up and try and make a play for Vibes here. Or Fall as the point man. He'll take a lot of damage. He goes for the repeat, but bullets still being flown through. Has to try and make a move here. He'll sit inside of Harry Popper as Lenda and Rare will both be able to at least get one. Lenda's going to get down. Impact's out to try and stop something here. They'll stop the plan, and BDS more than likely able to win the round off the back of that effort, and they will. BDS low on man count, but it doesn't matter. They take Coastline.
And so by the skin of their teeth, BDS close out map number 1 of this series. Lem's incredibly hyped about that one once again. So they're going to take it all the way to round 15, but it does go into their favor with an 8-7 scoreline, giving them the 1-0 lead in the series. Still plenty of battling to go, however. So as you can see, the players are going to be heading off the stage for just a moment here to give themselves some rest as they get prepared to do battle once again in just a few minutes here, as we'll be heading into the second map.
Yeah, I mean, FURIA with a greater understanding of BDS than I think a lot of people took them for, pushing us all the way to max OT. Hell of a game there in between these two, but luckily enough, folks, it's not over yet. It's best of 3s all day today for the main stage and for the remainder until we get to that final, which you guys all know and love for that best of 5.
Absolutely the case. It's going to be an epic battle, and once again, FURIA giving us possibly more of a fight than a lot of the folks at home, maybe that a lot of you expected. Certainly more, once again, than I expected, as we were seeing even our first matchup today when Damwon Gaming was taking on Liquid, a surprise map there. The big question now, though, is will it end in sadness on the second like that first map did? Or is FURIA going to continue to put up a fight? To answer that question and a whole lot more, we've got Monty and the rest of the desk.
Thank you very much. What exciting match there, going all the way max rounds in OT. But at the end of the day, BDS does end up winning FURIA's map selection of Coastline, which will put us next game into BDS's pick of Clubhouse. So before we advance into our Clubhouse discussion, let's refocus on this one because you guys were going crazy backstage over this.
This was one of the most exciting matches, probably because there was a couple of very, very key rounds. But just overall, I think it goes to tell a little bit of the story about what you said in what they thought they could come back and, you know, give a little bit of revenge to BDS. Turns out, without max OT, you're not going to get it.
Coastline is one of those matches that's super chaotic, and that was literally the definition of chaotic. There's so many rounds where it could have just gone any way. It was insane.
It was really good. Great match.
Do you think we're going to see the same kind of affair in Clubhouse, or is that going to be a much more controlled experience than Coastline?
Much more controlled.
Much more controlled.
Coastline is a map that I like to call a coin flip map. I think any team at the end of the day could win the map depending on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always talk about Coastline. I've even said it a little bit in the EU region about Consulate as well, as where if you're a team that struggles with coordination, strategy, maybe a little bit of utility play, you can get away with being a bit bad with that and using all of your mechanical skill on a map like Coastline. So I think FURIA maybe got away with that a little bit. Let's talk about their early round aggression, especially on defense. They got opening picks time and time again. So for me, that's where a lot of these rounds came from FURIA. And I think BDS, they played this quite cool, calm, collected for a map. I actually think they probably shouldn't have played cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, FURIA did the exact same thing they did to SSG. They did not allow BDS to get in the position to execute, and obviously that showed on their defensive half that it was a struggle for BDS to do anything. They couldn't get into positions, they couldn't leave the spawn, and they never had man advantage most of the time.
Yeah, you were amazed, Jess, at how few plants BDS was getting on their attack rounds.
Yeah, what was it? The very last round of their attack that they managed to get a plant down, and it still wasn't the most confident of plants either. So I definitely think that that was something that was testing them. And round after round, obviously you leave the first half a 3-3. That's not bad, but it's also not great for a map that we tend to say goes a little bit more attacking sided. If you're going in fair and square into your defense, you're not always going to feel very confident on this map.
The thing that's weird about Coastline too is it normally is attacker-sided, but depending the teams, it can be defender-sided, which is really weird. And that's, like I said, Coastline is just a map of chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got a shout out to my best friend over in CGG of Spencer. I said to him, look, I feel like FURIA are getting a bunch of trades each and every single map. The stats are on your screen right now. It doesn't show you the trade, so I'm going to add another stat of my own on top of this, and it's the fact that FURIA was able to trade their kills 22% of the time, which is average for a team on a map, but BDS only traded their plays 9% of the time, which means they somehow managed to bring numbers back through some of their foundational support players like BDS, and that is a hard thing to do. So if BDS won with a 9% trade, that's pretty good.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, if that's the case, then do you think BDS was perhaps a little bit underperforming today so far?
Mechanically, yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, they were losing some gunfights that they probably shouldn't have, especially Shaiko.
Yeah, that's not a lie.
Even with 10 kills, like he still was losing fights that he probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, probably because he was taking aggressive stances that usually maybe on maps where he's supported a little bit better with drones and crossfires, etc. He might win those, and unfortunately that doesn't translate onto Coastline very well.
Well, BDS was an outstanding player on that map, and you wanted to highlight him in round 3. Why is that, Jess?
Well, I have here very clearly written on my little cue card that he put up a nice little post-plant clutch there, and rather he tried essentially to get that clutch, and he was successful. And I think that this goes to show this is what BDS's plan is to try and essentially rely on BDS in the dying moments. It's a 1v1, 7 seconds left, but instead of going for the kill, which I would have opted for, if that was me, I would have gone for that kill through and through. But guess who misses out on the plant spot? It is Lender. And I tell you what, they're going to lend a hand to him later on because he wasn't doing too well that map.
I got so nervous when he went to push him that he backed out last second and he just committed to the plant. I thought Lenda was a little too slow on the pushback for the plant, but Brid, like you said, they had no idea where the plant spot was, and Brid clutched it out.
All right, I've carved out a lot of time to watch round 7 twice because it was so chaotic, and you guys both have so much to say. We are going to start with you, Skies, and break this down because it was absolute madness on the point.
It was. Okay, so round 7, like we talked in the beginning of the cast, is Fantasy is kind of the space maker, the playmaker, and it shows. He creeps into sight in the first 40 seconds. What is this guy doing? He downs Rafal on the liquor bar, and then the tempo for FURIA just starts to begin. There's so much pressure on BDS right now, they don't know what's going on. This guy just walks into sight, downs our liquor player, and the rest of the team is just collapsing around them. Highs gets a C4 on the Renshiro into the banana area. Shaiko's under with a C4 right now, just waiting for a replant, but it hasn't happened yet, so now it's kind of like a stall-out situation. So as we sit here, you're going to notice the FURIA players, especially Rare, kind of creep more into sight. He walks into Fish, and now he just does the exact same thing that Fantasy does. He walks into sight, kills 1, kills 2, destroys his teammate, and now he gets right here, and he actually alt-tabs here in a second, I think.
There was a moment where he alt-tabs. There he goes.
Yeah, he alt-tabs right there after downing Brid, and now it's just a complete chaos right now. LMs is creeping up as well right now. I think Rare starts feeling himself here. Probably swings when he shouldn't. Should probably play a little tighter here. And that there's no coverage from Miracle as well. So LMs just walks in and kills the whole team. So after all that chaos, LMs just comes up there, shuts it down. And again, he had one of those games where Shaiko might have underperformed a little bit with 10 kills, even though that sounds ridiculous. LMs really performed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to be the highlight for me as we replay this whole clip. This is not the, an extenuation of the round. We're bringing it back for you. We're going to put a bit of a rewind onto it because there is something ridiculous that happens. Not only does BDS decide that while sight is getting absolutely obliterated above them, they decide we're going to keep our C4s below. That's just what we're going to do. That's what we've committed to. And then they realize, wait, Rafal is bleeding out behind Cocktail. Of course, Rare decides to pull a Fantasy, whip himself around. My big point in this is that not only was he feeling himself so bad that he took out Lender, that he also happens to alt-tab after he gets the down. Comes back into the game, hasn't used a single Flores drone, but this is not where my most excitement comes. It's in the next 10 seconds because Highs actually decides to get a plant down, and Alem says, you know what, that's what we do. We're BDS, we're the objective team. You don't get that down, and even if you do, I'm here to pick it back up. That round exclusively was the most exciting round in almost all of my career when it comes to just so much going on in a round. I can't think of a bigger round.
Lem's winning every single one of those 1v1s too is insane. That first shot into the guy in VIP was nuts.
Did he even see him?
I don't know if he saw him or if he pre-fired, but our reactions in the green room were ridiculous. I could not believe he hit that shot.
I'm sure you guys saw it on Twitter as well. Most of the Rainbow Six community going absolutely nuts about that play. Thank you so much for the in-depth in-depth breakdown. Glad we got a chance to watch it a couple of times now, of course, with some retrospective ability to analyze it as well. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll get right into Map 2 on Clubhouse.
What does it take to create a vibrant, thriving community? Join us on this third episode of I Call Next as we discover how to create inspiring content and hype up an entire gaming scene. Hey pal, press play.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mexico Major. We are in the midst of our third quarterfinal of the day here on the first day of the playoffs. BDS currently taking on FURIA, with BDS just claiming the first map. We're getting ready to jump into our second here in just a moment, and it's bound to be quite the interesting one because that first map literally went back and forth, all the way to 15 rounds, where ultimately BDS barely took it.
15 rounds, my friend. It took us the entirety of Coastline to decide who was going to take the map, and I'm assuming that no one at home, as well as you and I, did not think that it was going that far. Even with FURIA having a great showing up against SSG on this map, BDS is just a different beast, but they still stood the test, and that was really awesome to see.
A lot of developments going on the inside of that too. These teams really trying to outwork each other, outwit each other. FURIA specifically on their attacks, struggling a little bit to figure out how exactly they wanted to play, whether more aggressive, get in the faces of BDS earlier on, but they found out that solution didn't necessarily work all the time because BDS had such great trade setups. So oftentimes when, they might get a kill or so, but it would pretty much immediately go right back into their favor as they would always have trade setups to be able to counter that out. Slowed it down a little bit, was able to make some forward progress, but again, ultimately wasn't enough to take them out.
Yeah, no, not at all. And like the craziest thing about FURIA up against BDS was their ability to change pace and make it very difficult for BDS to get anything done.
We did have that poll from earlier. Like we said, it is France versus Brazil. We wanted to know between our two teams which you guys thought would end up winning this matchup, and it was favored towards BDS at a 54-46 split. So you guys favor them by a little over 8 to 10% or so there. So we'll see if that holds true. So far, you guys are right. So far, you're on the right track there. But we've got one more map for BDS to claim still.
Yeah, if you guys keep doing that, maybe you too can get a Predator laptop. I don't really know.
Okay,
I have to figure that one out.
That's probably not happening.
That's probably not happening.
Just a bit of a disclaimer.
I know. It's sad. I tried, guys. You can't say I didn't
try. That's not happening.
Oh, you're putting your foot down?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm putting my foot down now.
All right, I'll turn around.
Stopping this before the lawyers come out. But anyway. We should be ready to jump into the map at any moment, folks. You can see the players getting sat down now, getting their headphones on and all that. So as soon as we have them all locked into the Matrix, into the Rainbow Six Matrix, whatever you want to call it. It's a simulation, right?
Are they going to pop out of the tubs and just be like, what is this stuff flying around me?
I don't need to see that scene
again.
Oh,
man. Dude, the first time I saw that scene, it was something else. And speaking of seeing things for the first time, this is the first time that we've obviously seen FURIA up against BDS. And kind of want to get back to the point that we were talking about before with that previous map and the way that FURIA really controlled pace around BDS and really gave BDS a run for their money in that regard. There was quite a few rounds where FURIA were able to mess with things, especially after the TAC timeout, where BDS were simply lost inside of the round. They really didn't know what FURIA was doing, so they tried to go out and find them themselves and simply found bullets, and it became a big problem there. Ended up with FURIA able to push it to OT off the back of that, but BDS finally able to right the ship on that very last round.
Just a bit of a Siege history here as well from a few months back, even as recently as SI 2021. We did see these two teams face off against each other during that tournament. That series ended up going by the way of BDS in a 2-1 fashion, with the maps being played out being Oregon, Clubhouse, and Consulate. So a little bit of a different flair coming into the fold here, but also some similarities to it. We'll see if that same result will yield true, or if FURIA can finally get revenge for being knocked out back at SI 2021. Either way, we are ready to go into the second map now. It'll be Clubhouse to potentially determine this series if BDS can take it. However, if FURIA responds, we'll go to our third and final map to truly settle this one and figure out who our third semifinalist of the day will be.
The last time these two were here, this ended 7-4 in favor of BDS, but times have obviously changed, and this is a new and improved FURIA. They're ready for war. When it comes to Clubhouse, the have funs in chat and the ban phase starts now in between BDS and FURIA.
Let's take a look and see who is going to get knocked out, as it looks like we actually, hold on a moment. We're in a very quick pause, folks, so stand by, as we do have to check on something very quickly before we do begin the game. We noted our third map as well. If anyone's curious and doesn't have the match stats up in front of you, it's looking like we're going to end up going to Kafe if we need to play that third map. So here's 1 second. We just have the admins. As you can see, they're talking to someone on BDS's side of the squad. So hopefully we have a slight mistake or something like that. We're just going to correct that very quickly. Make sure we get it fixed, and then we'll resume the match.
Yes, indeed, my friend, but that also gives us some time to kind of dissect Coastline a little more. Besides the pacing, what do you feel was still going on for FURIA where they had these opportunities to really take it to BDS?
Once again, the individual play that we're seeing coming out of players like Fantasy. I will admit, Fantasy not always inside of it right now. Not the way we were seeing out of the group stage where he was kind of taking over, but to some extent, I'm happy about that. I hate when teams are propelled by a single player because, in my opinion, you can almost never rely on that player's performance 100% of the time.
Especially in Rainbow Six.
Even if it's 80 to 90% of the time, Personally, I'm not satisfied with that.
Yeah,
I
no.
want a team that can consistently pick things up, and if one or two players has a bad day, that's not the end of the world. But unfortunately, that tends to be the case for quite a few teams that we see coming to, you know, across all esports in all reality. But players that can consistently keep up that performance, in my opinion, are 1 in a million. So it's a good thing that we're seeing Fantasy not completely take over, but are we seeing enough out of the rest of the team now? That's my question as we head into the second map here.
Well, it is a tall task to take down a team like BDS, one of the greatest teams we've had inside of Rainbow Six. Not able to lift a hammer, so I haven't reached that moment just yet, but they have been on the doorstep quite a few times where everyone was just like, BDS is going to take this land. It's the French superpower here to take down everyone. We'll see what they're able to get done here on Clubhouse as we jump in. We're going to get a buck ban to start things off.
So let's see here now for BDS if they can truly round themselves out for a quick 2-0 and keep the streak of 2-0s going. We have had 2 of those so far today, and we're looking for a third here if BDS is going to be able to negotiate this one final map for themselves. Bans already coming out, and interesting ones at that, as Buck, of all things, is going to be removed from play. Should still be a very useful ban, though, considering the amount of top-down as well as soft destruction that needs to be done on this map, so Buck tends to be brought in from time to time. Thatcher, we've explained that a million times. Hopefully you guys got that by now. Same for Mira, and that'll take us to our final ban.
Man, I think they got to pay you less now. You just skipped out on part of your job. You didn't explain the very obvious bans that were going on in the mid area. We're going to have a Rooney banned out as well here, which is quite interesting, to say the least. But at least for the Buck ban, I'll tell you guys this. For BDS, they only play it 48% of the time when it's available. They got 23 offensive rounds, and they've played him for 11 of those. So this could be something that FURIA saw as an audible for BDS, and they just wanted to make sure it was not an option for them. Buck is honestly a very, very good operator when it comes to a myriad of different maps, and Clubhouse is going to be no different. The biggest thing for him is obviously the abuse of vertical angles that only he can do inside of the soft destruction department, unless you want to risk some very important utility in the likes of Zofia and Ash. But for the Aruni ban, this one is a little bit more interesting. I want to pull these stats up very quickly just to look across the field, and yeah, played about 58-60% of the time when available, so definitely locked into some BDS strategy. This could be something that FURIA was looking into to try and get rid of.
Not to mention, right, that Aruni over the past few months has become a direct mainstay in so many of these setups. You said like 60% of the time being picked into it. For quite a few teams, I think it's even more than that. So when you consider how prevalent she's become, suddenly banning her out, whereas I personally have not really been seeing that at all, bans on Aruni, that's going to throw a team off a little and make them have to patch up that hole with something else they might not necessarily be ready to do, or at least not have fully tested inside of this environment.
Well, obviously the biggest thing about Aruni is that she creates these choke points around these laser gates. Obviously you're able to shoot through them, but the damage that you take from them is definitely not small. That's the number one thing. And secondly, you have to give up utility to traverse them if you want to do it without taking damage. Aside from that, she has the Roni as well, which makes her a very aggressive option. And on this map, like Clubhouse, especially for like the downstairs setup, that'd probably be the easiest to explain for you guys. She's able to lock down a lot of these hatches as well as dirt and just make it to where the offense isn't allowed to move in the way that they want to.
Miracle trying to quickly snipe out the spawns there, and nearly accomplishes his task as he does get a bullet or two onto Renshiro. Unfortunately, very hard to control the spray of the SMG-11 at normal times, let alone at incredibly long ranges like that. So that was basically a one bullet and done attempt to try and line up the headshot against Renshiro. Does not pan out, but hey, still knocked off about 25 HP. That's one less bullet he's going to be able to take in the eventual fight coming up inside of the building. BDS is quickly going to use all of their X-Kairos charges to pop open the garage and make sure that they have not only an easy option to take control there, but more than likely as well, it will disable any potential aggressive positioning from FURIA on the first floor of the garage.
It's going to be BDS with double hard breach, being Habana as well as Maverick. Most straightforward sets when it comes to this site overall. Sabana, well, she can deal with those garage panels, and Maverick is the best in the game when it comes to handling CCTV. She just torch these lines and blow it up with soft destruction. Obviously, the difference here is that it's already been blown up, and that's why you see Rafal being scared of what's going to happen because of that right there. Usually, there's an angle that you have to be pretty scared of when that wall ends up popping, unless they don't destroy that. So BDS will at least get away with that. So we're reaching the halfway mark now.
We're continuing to wait out for any sort of action towards construction. As you guys can see, there's nothing from BDS in that department right now, so it would be quite a while before he finds any action himself. In the meanwhile here as well, BDS has opened up these breaches to the inside of the garage a long time ago, but is only just now starting to actually utilize said breaches to push themselves forward. And even with that, only the Gemini from Shaiko physically moving towards the inside. They want to be sure, like I said, that first floor pressure is the most dangerous thing here. Even more dangerous, apparently, is going to be Fantasy up on the second floor. He's going to be able to get one for himself. He's still alive. It's not him that gets traded out. Renshiro instead finds one for the attack, as he's able to knock out Miracle instead. And that's actually a very important pick, because that's the smoke going down, more than likely with all three of the Toxic Babes still in his pockets. That delay potential would have been great for these final 45 seconds. Now no longer an option.
Oh, no.
However, the rest of the team can still get into this. The Clash picks up a kill next. Lenda finding one. I think an aggressive swing from Red Hall, and Renshiro nearly meets his end there as well. Fantasy instead continuing to frag out from the inside of the garage position. Leaves only Renshiro with a sliver of HP, and Bride with a position downstairs by the garage.
Oh no, Renshiro, I really hope that you don't have to die in this way. This Flash Shield can deal enough damage to be able to tase him all the way down, and that's why Renshiro was going to vacate the premises. You cannot blame him in the slightest for this situation. Fantasy will able to at least get back into sight. He's going to hear someone actually rappelling up, but I believe the gunfire actually going to cover that for the time being. Bride trying to find some space to work with. Well, Renshiro works the breach, but there's really nothing going on here. It's just BDS simply waiting for the round to end, and Furia with the early frags have too much of an advantage for them to try and fight back.
Fortunately for BDS, a false start on all of their aggressive moves there. You could tell the reason why they took so long to move into the building, because they were so scared of these potential aggressive setups from Furia, and they were right to as well. We see them coming out, especially the garage position there being played out. I believe it was a Miracle on the inside of that round, continuing to punish BDS time and time again and put them down before they could even reach step one of their attack there. Not to mention the slowdowns that happened in the breach over by the balcony, and throughout the other parts of the map they tried to get aggressive on as well.
Well, that's what happens when Shaiko gets picked so early. He's one of the players on this roster that's going to go and find you that opening kill. He's been doing it throughout the entirety of this land, and since he gets picked first, it obviously sets BDS on the back foot. They're not really able to accomplish much past that, especially with Furia doubling down on some advantageous positions, especially with Clash out of all people getting a frag as well inside of there. And again, just making things quite difficult for BDS, but that doesn't mean that they can't right the ship when it comes down to it, especially when it comes to this offense. They'll be attacking Gym Master now as Furia begins to set up Cash.
The extension over here into Cash going to be a pivotal part of this setup, not necessarily to make or break the round itself, but a massive time-wasting capability that pretty much every team brings to the table now when they deploy towards this site. I mean, of course, we're not going to see any of this on the left side of your screen there and the defense on that balcony, but definitely want to put a big amount of emphasis on the Cash play as well, because this site, for the most part, can be held in a fairly horizontal nature if you're able to deploy that setup and keep control of it for good amounts of the round. At the same time, though, Furia also going to be out and about here. Lenda specifically going all the way over towards Strip now to try and see if he can get an aggressive swing going, maybe even a run out possibly from the doorway.
This is going to be quite sneaky from Lenda. We'll have to catch up with him later on, as obviously all of the play is going down on this side of the map. Lenda's more than likely just got a black eye outside and waiting to see when the garage pressure is going to come in from Bride, and he's more than likely going to attempt to counter that. But the issue is when you swing that door, especially nowadays with the timer, he's going to get read out almost instantaneously when he gets outside, so there is an opportunity for him to die here as well. But it's a risk that Furia is willing to take, so we'll see if this works out here for him. An update for the rest of BDS, though, they're beginning work on the CCTV wall to begin to try and break that down. They reinforce very forward here, so it's going to be the torch from Rafal. You can see he's already down to one tank as he begins to break up the cash room here, as well as have the Clash in tow to be able to assist with some of these gunfights.
It's a slow roll here for BDS. Once again, you can see all the drone presence they've thrown to the inside of Cash to make sure it is truly clear before they start taking control of it for themselves. Unfortunately, even inside of Cash itself, it's not going to necessarily be safe harbors. They've got the rotate open up. Man, Fantasy is so happy he got that kill. I just heard a woo from across the room there as he gets the instant headshot out onto Shaiko to bring him down, and once again put Furia in the advantageous position in a 5v4.
Orange Shiro trying to push forward with the rest of BDS. They'll be able to at least fight here with this Cash setup. But here's the issue. The Clash play from Furia has been such a nuisance so far, and it seems like it's going to continue to be. That frag grenade correct bounce there for Renshiro. It's actually going to get back in front of the shield. Deal very minimal damage to Rare. Now Furia in the driver's seat on this round. BDS are going to have to make a rotation here. Rafal going to have to try and assist with the torch here as well. He won't be able to fully torch this wall, and they've actually put the mute jammer on kind of an off angle here. Rafal will eventually be able to find it though, so the X-Kairos can start to go down now, but now before Fantasy pushes BDS back one more step.
BDS, one of the ones potentially getting in a position to try and aggress against this breach first.
This clash is so annoying.
Yep, the clash still going to remain a thing more than likely on the upstairs sites. Very, very useful for adding a temporary blockade in front of these breaches, which is exactly the purpose it's going to serve right now. Lems with a wild swing to the inside of construction. He pays the price for that very quickly as Miracle shuts it down. Rafal trying to get an angle onto this player in Gym. It's going to be the smoke, I believe, being played by Fantasy. Can't get the job done, and Miracle now with no restrictions over towards Cash rushes right out to find BDS. Rafal, yes, one trade, but that's it. Fantasy, a small push from him, a single pump of the shotgun, and the round is over in the favor of our Latin American squad.
Well, it's not that BDS aren't able to achieve the jobs around the map, right? They're getting walls open and they're still getting things done. The biggest issue right now is coming down to coordination for BDS. They simply do not have it in spades up against Furia's play around this shield, and they really need to try and figure something out. They're going to have to reconcile with this because I highly doubt that Furia is going to back off from that in the slightest. We obviously could have a big changeup when it comes to the basement. That's more than likely what we're going to see as we're looking at a lineup for that just now. But we're going to be sitting on a tech pause here for just a second, folks. A little bit of a bug, so we're going to fix that, and then we'll be back in momentarily.
Was it mute bug? Should have just banned him again.
Well, they tried to, but they just made him angry. He just started doing it randomly then. And then we had to have an ERC7 to block the mute effects. It's just too much.
That's going to be the new strategy. Just ban the bugs. All right, Shay goes back in
you
now.
You can't make me laugh like that on broadcast.
So
It's not fair.
Shay goes back in now, so we're probably going to start this any second. No reason why his client shouldn't be fixed after a quick client restart.
Shaka said, hey, I've never died first twice in a row ever. It has to be a bug. It has to be a bug. Somebody check the Moss file. That's what he said.
We're like 6 years ago in the Counter-Strike scene. It's like, oh yeah, team speak.
Exactly, my friend. Every once in a while, gotta try and find those things, extend the time, but obviously not the case here, just fixing some stuff up. And we are back in now, folks. So we will start things off in Church and Arsenal.
Let's see if that's going to pan out for Furia. So far, a solid defense being put on both of the upstairs sites, but that's the important note. It's on both of the upstairs sites. Now we're heading down to the basement where a very different playstyle is going to be required. We might not necessarily get that, though, at a Furia. Curious to see how they handle as I've not been able to catch one of their clubhouses yet so far inside of this tournament. There's two schools of thought when it comes to managing your defense on this site. You can either play it all in the site and basically create a bunker setup where you slowly try and deny the opening of top-down angles, mainly through the hatches throughout the large majority of the round, and then ultimately try to win the big 5v5 fight for the site itself at the end of it, or you can extend and sort of create a little sandwich by putting pressure onto the second floor as well. And I believe to some extent we're going to see that being made by Furia now as Miracle just opening up a few rotates. Usually this is pretty lightly supported. Not going to see a lot of reinforcements. One not committed to make this happen, maybe a couple, but that's going to be pretty much it.
Okay, so BDS will have to deal with the extended hold upstairs here from Furia as they are at the four corners of the earth right now. I think that drone was possibly down low. Hoping everyone else at home saw that as well there from BDS. Don't exactly know where that drone went, so Rare might get read out here. Can't exactly assess the situation fully for you guys, so apologies about that, but Rare's actually going to end up moving away from that position anyways. Rafal immediately runs in as well. We begin droning things out too, and it looks like Rare, yes indeed, has already backed off, so that situation really not mattering at the end of the day.
Rafal now in towards the inside.
I don't know what happened to that drone though. I don't know where it went.
Into the bin of history.
Dude, it just like went into the abyss. Oblivion.
Tends to happen from time to time there. We are going to see a pre-place go down there on the top of the Logi position. That is just going to disable BDS if they try to drop in through the hatch to clear that out. That is normally a position you'll see this extended roam end up going towards, but not necessarily inside of this situation. Mainly because Fury did not create the top-down angles that would normally be required to play that, so I don't think they're too keen on looking to leverage that. Renshiro, in the meantime, though, with the drone inside, I believe they've also dropped the player in here, dealt with the Nitro cell, or at least avoided it from the other side there. Now the first still going to come out against Fantasy, but just as quickly. A wild swing from Lenda out the front door. Re-equalizes the equation, and I spoke too soon on that Nitro, so I'm pretty sure that's what just killed Renshiro, as that's going to take him out trying to drop down in the hatch as well.
Well, it'll be pretty self-explanatory if it did, and it did indeed. There is a massive hole, and Logi, that wasn't there before magically. I don't know. So I don't know if there's some home improvement going on around the map or necessarily what's going on, but I can tell you that BDS are not having a good time. Luckily enough, Shaiko alive for this one, so he could have some influence that the other players on his team have not been able to find thus far, and also keeping that Gemini up going into the last minute is definitely going to assist them. They'll use that now to try and find some extra information for themselves. As for Rafal and the rest of the boys, though, they need to start trying to clear up some of this info. Rafal trying to get within proximity to set that off, but definitely not going to be close enough as he is well above that radius. Instead, going to have to dedicate the frag grenade to clearing up that Banshee as BDS continue to try and clear out this area to start to work on the main stairs.
Fall out downstairs. Good spot right there as they are going to find out the quick position of the camera hiding in the corner, or potentially figures out where they are hiding at. Nade going deep there and nearly actually catching Highs or Lenda, but thankfully falls just a tad short as it approaches the kill box for both of them. Second one is going to bank off the corner. And Shaiko committing to a fight on the inside of the Toxic Babe here. Probably going to wait for this first one to fade away, but he's on a bit of a timer, so just cooks the nade to make sure that that gets confirmed. Very easy for FURIA to retrieve Lenda if he did not do that and was able to back away to the inside of Church. So just making sure his kill is indeed going to be confirmed. Slates the 3v3 now. Shaiko trying to get a little too bold there as we approach the end of the round. Mainly was going to go try and push towards the main hallway, but ends up backing away from it. Rafal now trying to swing in from blue, but he can't get the winning angle. Shaiko can, however. Great support on the push, but unfortunately will lose his teammate a moment later. It's up to Brina and Shaiko now. They're picking up one of the kills. The planet tip going onto the ground, but it is immediately denied. FURIA find yet another one for themselves. They continue to dominate this defensive half.
Man, this is such a nasty Clubhouse right now. BDS can just simply not fight back. There's just these unrecoverable frags happening right now from the LATAM squad, and every single time BDS have to try and figure this out on very low man count in comparison to FURIA. I mean, they're able to at least equalize here, but the issue is that they still have to try and funnel in through these areas, and that's the big problem. Is yes, it might be a 3 versus 3, but you don't have hatches open, you don't have walls open, and you simply have to try and push in through Moto. That's really all they had to their name. They try and have the counter push as well down into blue, but that also fails simply because there's a Banshee there waiting for anyone to try and move into that area.
So, a pause one will come out here for BDS.
An actual one.
Yeah, an actual pause, not a tech pause. As it's very much needed here for the BDS roster. Unfortunately, it's been 3 rounds in a row, 2 of which they haven't even really been able to get close to putting enough pressure onto FURIA. FURIA's either been able to aggress out against their attack attempt, or Team BDS has ended up walking into their own deaths many, many times, as we've seen here. That last round, probably the closest we've seen yet, to be fair, but also a very different style to what we're going to be getting over the next 2 rounds as well. With 3 successful wins for FURIA, that means they're beginning to unlock the sites they've already played before. We're definitely not going to see a bar defense either. That's a very rare treat that we've only seen once, at least between the 2 of us in recent history. So it's back to the CCTV and cash defense, where FURIA dominated at the beginning of this game.
I've just got to say it. Thank you very much. I did not want to cast that. I may have left, I'll be honest, but no, not actually. CCTV, as you said, going to be the defensive site here. BDS not able to find an answer to the aggression from FURIA just yet, as their map control has just been so very solid. The 2 previous rounds really up to what they were able to produce with the Clash, as well as Fantasy inside of Garage having a heavy influence over round 1. Round 2, more of the same, but definitely more exemplified by the Clash play around cash and construction that just kept BDS at bay constantly. And finally, that last one, the early picks for FURIA, meaning way too much inside of the round. BDS not able to get anything done as they get shut out and have to funnel into site, quickly getting dispatched by FURIA.
So no serious change up to the operator lineup here. In fact, no 6 picks or anything, any surprises whatsoever coming in from BDS. So operator style still going to be exactly the same. If you guys want to improve your in-game style, you can go ahead now and check out the Finca EUL set, as well as all of the new R6 Share Program skins, which were added to the store quite recently. Remember that all purchases support your favorite team, so go ahead, head into the Rainbow Six store, check those out, and be sure to purchase some of your favorites.
Okay, well, 20 seconds remaining inside of this prep phase for BDS to get some of these drones set up and see what's going on around Furia's setup overall. This time around, they will be bringing the Kaid to lock things up, so that should assist. And oh, indeed, they're going to be going for this one. This is one of my favorites when it comes to Kaid's kit for this map. You actually can electrify, thank you very much, Observer, both of these panels from the top area. And if you match that with some ADSs here from Fantasy, now you got a heck of a layered setup when it comes down to it. You're going to have to try and burn out those ADSs, get an explosive up there, and get rid of those electro claws. This is going to make it to where the angle that is abused for that window that Fantasy was just looking at, practically impossible to get unless you can try and find some pressure through lounge or the main garage door. Obviously, the main garage door probably not being the best option.
So for BDS, they have already realized this is the situation. Once again, Furia was a little bit mean to BDS here, as they're going to make Rafal's job just a tad harder on the inside of this round.
You gotta love it when they do this.
By turning that wall into Swiss cheese. And you might wonder, like, how does that make it harder? Mainly just because he can't get a clean line going here. Fantasy, the wild swing, and it's supported by a lens there to make sure the Maverick does not go down. So an easy shutdown against Fantasy. And one of the first advantages we'll see going into the favor of BDS.
The adjective wild was the one that you definitely should have used there, because to just run up to the door and rip it down, that is a huge sound cue. I thought from the bottom of the door being slightly busted that they had just like punched it twice and had it prepped and he was just going to pop it and run out. But it just gives you just long enough for somebody to hear that and make a call, and that usually ends up usually isn't what happens. So either way though, Fantasy is going to go down early here, and that's going to be kind of a negative thing for Furia going forward. The good news is though, is that they still have Lenda up top, and he'll be holding on to Raptors for right now. You can see how troublesome this has been to try and just get this wall torched. Rare's going to go down as well. BDS finally jumping ahead here in man advantage.
So Lems finding 1x actually through the breach that's been created by the Maverick as well, so starting to open up some opportunities onto the site. And that's before. Did they make a face on the wall?
I was gonna say that is my exact facial reaction.
Just so we're gonna look at it.
No, it was a face. It was a face. I'm so depressed.
Oh man, I'm really glad we missed that when he was mapping it away. But either way,
I saw it out of the corner of my eye, man. That's all I saw.
Can you imagine, like, if you're in a pro game and you walk up to Mavnet and there's literally just like a frowny face on the wall? How trolled would you feel? I'd be pretty mad. But either way here, Furia still struggling despite their antics with the soft breach. You continue to see BDS excelling and taking a slow approach to knocking these players out from Furia, pick by pick. So far, Rare and Fantasy have gone down. Highs with the setup to counter the pressure, though, will more than likely come into construction relatively soon. At the same time, though, BDS has expected these types of plays 2 times already and has been able to counter them out. Lenda probably posturing for yet another swing to the outside. Went for it, but thankfully realized his mistake very quickly, as Lem still has complete overwatch on that and will shut it down no problem. However, 2 different players potentially going to swing into this, and however, I say it again, 2 Furia members are all that is left here. Miracle, only one on site as well. A random Nitro comes out from Lenda because he really doesn't have anything else to throw at them, unfortunately. It will miss completely, and through a top-down angle, Rafal will shut out the round. It's a flawless one from BDS as they finally go on the board in the 4th.
Well, we have some very excited Frenchmen behind us, and yeah, that's exactly why. Finally able to get onto the board and find some semblance of something against Furia's onslaught so far on Clubhouse. This round, oh, we're gonna get the face. Hold on, let's see it. 1 second.
Oh, few more frames.
Oh, it is a face! It is a face! Oh, man. Me, when you, when we, when.
You all right?
You've never seen that meme? We got to educate this man, guys.
Sorry,
oh, my goodness. Why do you always leave me hanging, dude?
Probably because I have a little TikTok installed. I'm going to guess.
Dude, listen, you need that. You need, like, better Reddit pages. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Give me your phone. I'm just kidding.
Just taking too many pictures nowadays. Anyway, we got Furia still in control of the matchup, but finally starting to struggle a little bit when it comes to their setups. The first of which, of course, going on over there at Cash. They could have repeated that, but that's a pretty solid win coming in from BDS. They're not feeling too confident. They will commit to the rotate over towards the other side up here as they'll go for the gym defense next.
Honestly, be gutted. I'm honestly pretty gutted that they didn't do the face again. That's about it. That's all I have for assessment.
This setup takes a bit longer, I think, so they probably don't have time to mess around with it.
I'll give them the
there's like
benefit of
4 rooms to set up at this site compared to like the 2 you have to do on the last one.
You literally have to hold the entirety of the top floor. And the thing is that if you give up cash and just kind of like try and set around the construction area, area, you really don't have enough area to work for just your team in general, and it just begins to get very congested because there's not very many safe areas inside of gym. If you guys notice throughout these rounds, there's going to be a lot of people that are like hugging next to the mattress and just like trying to hide inside of the shower and stuff like that, and that's simply because of the lines of sight that exist across the entirety of this bomb site. So I'll have to see how they end up dealing with that. And speaking of dealing with things, BDS have to deal with Lenda inside of stalls. He's going to end up getting droned out by the Gemini clone, but he's going to continue to try and hold on to this mid floor.
Lenda still in trouble as he falls back. Another drone going to figure out where his new position is. Has to watch out for pressure from the front door, but thankfully there's not going to be a whole lot of it. Everything coming in from either the strip side or into billiards directly. High's also still holding the position just outside of the bathroom on this very same floor, and they haven't seen him yet from what I've seen, unless he's been taking out a drone that we caught off camera. Either way, though, they'll figure it out now as one of the members of BDS commits to the inside of the bathroom push, and that will start sending Highs away as he takes up a new position closer towards the site.
This is a lot more straightforward offense here from BDS. They've simply held on to the west-hand side of the map and forced Furia's roam game on this mid floor to back off. So they can hold on to this and begin working that jacuzzi balcony. See what else they could possibly get done with this, but as of right now, it does not seem like they want anything to do with that cache setup, and you cannot blame them in the slightest. We do have the Clash back in the mix here, and that was the bane of their existence in this previous offense.
It's going quite quiet here from BDS after they've taken most of the first floor control away from FURIA. And FURIA, as a result of that more passive switch, is going to be able to get themselves their first kill. Shaiko responds, though, as it's kind of just an artillery war between the two teams right now. One frag pickup from the attack, one nitro pickup from the defense. Two have barely seen each other beside that so far here, and Rare is still standing in the way as a massive obstacle to the push from the balcony as well. But regardless of that, more nade pressure going to go out, specifically against Lenda, as his deployable shield is destroyed from below, and he's forced back into the depths of construction.
Yes. Moving forward with this Gemini clone once again here. Rare will be able to spot that out, but really can't have any effect over it. So it's going to get a lot more information than they originally thought. Alemsis tries to hop inside of the building, but ends up getting taken down. They'll at least be able to equalize this, smooth things over going in the last 30 seconds. 3 versus 3 currently in between the two. BDS still with some solid map control, especially on this mid-level. We currently have Shaiko looking up through billiards, or weights actually, excuse me. He's holding that on, but looks like they still have a singular target here that they'll have to deal with, and you can see Furia able to stunt BDS's growth inside of this round once again. Shaiko having a lot of issues with this top hole, but finally they found the answer. It's on the back door. Renshiro simply sneaks in. It was all a cruel ploy, simply to gain Furia's confidence.
Some excellent work coming out from BDS, and again, what a rebound, what a change-up from the first map as well. Having to go back and forth consistently with so many rounds being traded out between these two teams. Now it's Furia seemingly taking direct control, but losing all of that on the second go-around here in the second quarter of the match. BDS now with a 2-round streak in their pocket, looking to make it 3 if they can take the attack on the basement. And this was the one that was already relatively close for them. Just had some issues getting access to the basement itself in those final moments, and even then, Shaiko nearly traded his way to victory regardless.
Some massive adjustments coming out here for BDS. You can tell how... what's the best way to put this, John? You can tell how poised they are overall inside of their games. Even when things get risky, when somebody jumps ahead by a lot of rounds or anything like that, if they get ahead by 3, it's an immediate, okay, we're going to call it timeout. What is going wrong? How can we fix this? And the thing is that we see this time and time again from a lot of teams, but the one seldom thing is that they actually truly have an answer. Every time BDS has an answer. And that's the scary thing about this team, is that tack timeout is worth its weight in gold to this squad. We've seen it, we even saw it today with SSG, not really able to get anything done even after the tactical timeout.
Furious had a few switch-ups themselves. Obviously, no pause from on the inside of this specific map just as of yet, but still can change up quite a bit when it comes to the strategy. Although I'm not sure if we're going to get that out of them on the inside of this round right here. Still going to see a large presence deployed over towards the positions, specifically the garage spots there. I don't think we're actually going to see them play upstairs, though, after everything is said and done. Thought that we had the operator lineup to do so, but looks like that's not going to be the case. So only Highs will be messing around with the first floor hold, and there's nothing extended to the second floor as they will be playing. Oh, no, never mind. We do have Lenda up here. Sorry about that.
But secondly,
we're only looking at one floor at a time, so that was the first time we looked up here. But
I was was gonna follow it up with also Lenda. Why are you up here?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like a very light amount of aggression. So
well, secondly, you have 2 SAS operators and you're smoke. So like I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but you are worrying me just a little bit. He's gonna stay up here too. This could be very interesting. I wonder what Lenda's gonna be able to achieve with the Toxic Babes on the roam. He's gonna be actually partnered with Fantasy up here. You can see that actually down low, they're looking for more of a artillery defense for, you know, as minimum as I can say. 3 Nitro cells built up here for Furia, so could more than likely see some answers coming in the way of that as well. Lenda, rest of the squad actually going to end up backing off here. They're holding on to main stairs, and they're simply going to vacate the area.
Thermite along with a Maverick brought for hard breach on BDS's side, so there's quite a bit in excess. They are going to use one of those exothermic charges to quickly open up access to the jacuzzi balcony, and that seems to have scared away pretty much all of that aggressive pressure from Furia. You can see that the drone work from BDS is now focused primarily on the first floor, just again to make sure that no one is playing around for the Furia roster here. And now as well, Olem's already committed to the oil pit. He's probably going to back away from this because he's kind of locked in here right now. Only at 50 HP. You got to be a little careful going up that ladder, but after the quick double check, it's like looking both ways before he crosses the street. Their heads back up and keeps himself in safe strides. Renshiro, in other news, was able to actually get the first kill of the round as that smoke goes down. Still with all 3 Toxic Babes available, as well as the utility once again wasted, unfortunately.
You can see BDS starting to break up this central floor, and this is one of those plays where if they had access to Buck, they'd actually be able to break down that armory wall to the north side of this hallway and start to put some pressure on these Furia members, but without that, they're not really allowed to. They have to go for more of a vertical angle instead inside of the kitchen, which leaves Renshiro susceptible to Nitro Cell plays. Greatly enough, though, they've actually dwindled those down to 1. Miracle, the only remaining Nitro Cell on defense, but it could obviously leave a lot of things up to chance here for BDS, especially when it comes down to their plant opportunity. Big pickup on Lenda, obviously, getting the smoke off the board, but as you guys can see, this drone economy really starting to dwindle as well. Shaiko obviously still with 2 up, and obviously being Yana is going to assist in this regard. Shiro drops, will be able to sledge a soft panel here on Church as well. They're starting to wrap around. Fantasy will end up getting down. BDS beautifully done so far. Alem's inside of blue as well, but Renshiro's going to get fragged out inside of Church. Alem's simply holding on to this for the time being before Heise makes his move. He'll be able to knock down the case. He's going to hold on to this in Moto. It's a 1 versus 2. Rafal knows where he is, but Furia with the plays as they reclaim space and reclaim rounds.
Furia take control of the lead with that one as well. We were looking at a situation where we could have very easily ended up in a 3-3s. BDS seemed to have gotten a good read on Furia's holds here, but Furia playing the passive game yet again, choosing not to take these earlier fights, which in the past 2 rounds had usually gone by the way of BDS. They take it to the site instead, fall back on the bunker setup, and that pans out, although once again is very, very close at the end of the day, going all the way down to a 2v2 before Furia finally takes over for themselves, securing a 4-2 half, and now, of course, putting BDS on the defense, where they're going to go right back upstairs to CCTV cash for their first round.
So it's going to be the switch of sides in between these two. Obviously, this half being played out very well by Furia, able to split it 4-2, and especially the earlier rounds looking so strong in the way that they were able to handle BDS's defaults. BDS finally able to get something on the board, back-to-back rounds, but before Furia were able to reclaim that last one that was looking like it was going to go BDS's way as well, but some immense gameplay, or gunplay, excuse me, from Furia was able to pull it back across the line, especially once they were able to bide for case control inside of Moto. But as we reach the half now, obviously switching sides here, Furia going to be on the offense. Will they take more of an aggressive route, or is it going to be that controlled precision once again?
We'll see this in just a moment, as obviously the rest of BDS are busy bees right now, moving across the map, trying to set up the rest of the reinforcements that will be necessary for whatever the overall plans are going to be from BDS. Definitely some aggressive posturing going to be going on, though, including a Lems all the way in bar right now here for himself, just to set up and counter out some of those preset drones. Well, some of the other utility that will be coming out from the attack, but could be a potential position if he stays over here to try and swing out later. So we'll catch up with him in just a little bit. It's Shaiko that's going to be the most aggressively postured right now, but as I kind of expected, not really going to be able to stick here for very long. Does need to move from that harsh corner pretty quickly.
Yes, indeed. You always got to make sure that you are in an area with some exits. You never want to try and limit those, John, because, well, when you do, you probably die.
Oh.
And that's one thing that you never really want. The beautiful lineup here that usually ends up catching somebody off guard. I will be completely honest with you guys. I accidentally die to this all of the time. You get so used to no one managing this angle, and you're like, oh, hey, guys, they're torching the garage.
Also,
oh, I'm dead.
Really good example there, because BDS did not do the Swiss cheesing on the wall there. That's how quick you can open it when the wall is not messed up on the other side there.
Oh,
so,
my
what?
God.
What was that?
Yo, Fantasy. Oh, my. Dude, that you just got world starred. That was an uppercut. That was, oh, my God. Somebody put him on a milk carton. Oh, that was insane. Anyways, Renshiro ends up taking the head off of Fantasy there. And FURIA more than likely going to be trying to figure out exactly what went wrong there later on, obviously. Still around to play out here. But they're actually going to be adjusting the goalposts. Instead, they're moving across the map. They've already got CCTV busted up, but it's looking like construction might be the way ahead for them.
Eyes moving forward. They're supported by the drone. He's expecting something to be sitting downstairs for a potential swing, but obviously won't find much from that. And now we're going to see Eyes just take care of some of the soft breach to make it a little bit easier for them when they decide to move in and actually open this up a bit later on in the route. See, obviously the unfortunate part of this is that they have lost the Sophia too, so that does remove some of their capability to deal with specifically on-site utilities, such as right now when there's going to be a mute jammer on the other side of the wall. It's not necessarily going to be an easy way to deal with that. And actually, where is that position? Oh, you know what? I think it's in the corner,
yeah,
right?
Yep. So zoom in, and it's right here sitting in the wall. Oh, wait, there it is. Boom, you just saw it.
Right there.
Right there. Yeah, that mute jammer. So actually, if he put it to the left-hand side, funny enough, it would work, but he's worried about the hatch. That's what he's worried about. He's worried about somebody being downstairs to possibly blow that up. So they're going to get Miracle out here to try and torch it because they think something's there, but guys, we all know it's not. It's a secret. You can't tell them. They're going to have to figure it out themselves. And also, with that, very minimal time in order to do so. They're trying to hold on to the flanks right now, but looks like they're running into some trouble on the side as Shaco will take down one. High starting to propel himself forward as well. As Miracle will be managing the CCTV window. Alems will end up going down. This could be the first pickup for them, but with 20 seconds remaining, this is a dying round unless something big changes. The Nitro Cell out, not going to deal much damage to the FURIA members, but they have simply been stuck outside in the cold, and there's really not much to be done. Highs tries to flush in. Shaiko will take down one on the breach. Rafal will take one as well. Highs will down one on the top of red, and that's going to be all she wrote. It's 0-0 on the board, and BDS with a round.
Great denial of that final breach right there. There was a large amount of focus from FURIA on trying to get access to the construction angle and use that as their main push to the inside of the site, but that going away and realizing that they weren't actually going to be able to get access to it so late into the round, they had no time left to change up the strategy. They had to brute force their way towards the inside there, and as a result of the low time and the one-dimensional nature of the push, it was just a matter of going through the motions for BDS as they take swift control of their first offensive round, setting up the scoreline at 3-4 and taking us into a very quick FURIA tactical.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I wanted to touch on, actually, was the tactical. I've really appreciated the coaches here and what they've been able to accomplish with these timeouts, because they really do mean a lot at the end of the day. We just switched half, guys. We just switched, right? 4-2, BDS get one round, and FURIA call a timeout? That's truly incredible. That's exactly how this should be going. Hey, this is not going well. We really had kind of a, pretty difficult round there. We couldn't get the wall open. We really didn't know what the answer was to it. It's just very frustrating. So let's take a tactical timeout here, try and figure something out on our end to make some adjustments, and then propel ourselves forward.
If I had a dissenting opinion, depending on who called the pause, it might be a little bit early, in my opinion, as well, with only one round being played out.
I think that Twister's got faith inside of his roster.
Oh yeah. So if this was called by the in-game leadership, cool, that's fine. That means they're out of ideas. They need help from the coach. If this was called by the coach, there's a possibility we could have let things play out for another round or two. In my opinion, FURIA don't seem completely lost here, so there's a possibility we could have seen exactly how BDS try to play things out on a separate site as well, then maybe figure out what's consistently going wrong between that round and this one that's coming up, then talk about it. But like I said, I don't know where the call came from.
Hey man, I personally speaking, I would trust head coach John Blumullen III. I would.
With zero competitive experience.
Hey, you've casted quite a few games. That's not comp at all.
That's all I've done though.
You're really good at talking.
I was like a mediocre Guild Wars 2 player. That's the only claim to fame I have, and it's not even really a claim. So
I mean, but hey, that also led you here with me, which is also bad.
True.
I don't know why I even tried to use that as an example. That was probably the worst thing I could have used as an example.
Okay, enough about us.
Well, hey, we're finally out of the tactical timeout, man. Sometimes, we like to have fun here, folks. But either way, though, we're finally back into the action. What we actually want to talk about and what you guys want to hear about is round round 8 and what's going to be going on with this. It's going to be an extended hold for BDS here. We saw this from FURIA. Theirs was not lackluster, it was just very small time. I think that's the best way to put it. There really wasn't much going on the top floor, whereas for BDS, there's a lot, especially with both sides of the, both double panels on both sides of the map being reinforced, the one for CCTV and the one for Jacuzzi. Those get held down by mute jammers, as well as Vigil and everybody else along for the ride to make sure that the info game for FURIA is not perfect.
Let's see Miracle having a camera there and some good intel on it for just a split second. Unfortunately, the second he jumps onto it, he was looking right down the barrel of another player from BDS's eyes, who's going to be able to shoot that out and restrict that intel for quite a bit. No reaction will come of that drone intel. Unfortunately, here Miracle's by his lonesome, so can't really do anything about it. Lenda does want to try and get a quick opening onto the wall up here, the main balcony wall, but unfortunately, as you can see there, it's going to be jammed out from the other side, so we'll take a moment to try and open that up. Thankfully, it's not the end of the world. There's not going to be any ADSs or anything here, so just a wild nade in from the other side on the window there will re-enable the capability to open that up.
Okay, well, FURIA needing to break up the map now. No answer to the Jacuzzi wall just yet, so Alems, as well as I believe Bride, be able to hold on to this space. Renshiro will be managing the bottom of the stairwell as well, just to make sure that his teammates actually have safe harbor to return to. He wants to make sure that FURIA cannot get control of this space. Otherwise, they're more than likely going to run into quite a few issues. FURIA, though, they'll be able to get Jacuzzi open finally as they start to muster their strength and push forward on this top floor. And obviously, BDS good for this. They want to stay up top, and you can't exactly blame them. FURIA just now got in the building, and there's only been a minute, and it's down to a minute and 30 already.
Bride taking up a new position. They realize he shifted towards it, though. Not even the red ping either, but it's going to be enough to take him down as Miracle moves forward now with that kill in his pocket. Fantasy also able to take some control on the inside of the map. BDS, this extended play, this aggressive extended play towards the second floor does not pan out, and they go down to a 3v5 only with the site players left standing.
Well, very problematic right now for BDS because the extended hold really did work into their favor. They were able to delay a lot of time, and honestly, this is still going to be something to consider up against FURIA right now because look at, Miracle is still getting the hatch. We're at 45 seconds. They're going to have an immediate answer once they get these tasks done. No vertical play inside of Kitchen either. They're just now getting Kitchen hatch. You can see how frantic FURIA are running around. They're like, oh my god, what do I do? We need to do something here. Hey, Rare, can you get the hatch? Yeah, I'll get the hatch for you, man. I'll get this open right now. And now Fall ready to try and gunfight back. Can he get the initial frag? No. All of the damage coming onto him instead, but not before he delivers quite a few shots to highs. Let's see what the rest of BDS can do, though. Shaiko will go down. It's only up to Renshiro. He knows where one of these members is, but it looks like FURIA gonna have too many bodies in this situation. Way too many people to try and get this frag that would end the round for them if he could find Rare, but all of the pressure finally building to FURIA, and it will bubble over into sight for a flawless.
The 5v3 builds up to too much to deal with as they try to take aggressive positions when the execute is finally ready to boil out there for FURIA. Not to mention the fact that Zofia utility had still gone, at least the stuns, had gone relatively unused up until that point in the round, so they were able to isolate out most of the defenders that were remaining and reduce their ability to fight anyway. Great stuff from FURIA, solid response, and as well, a great rebound right off the pause. Now it's time for BDS to do the same. They're still 2 rounds behind, and FURIA only 2 rounds themselves from taking the second map and sending us to our third map of the day.
It's funny because like everyone loves to talk about clean executes and oh, you guys took map control so well and you did this and you got the flawless round. That's awesome. My sign for awesome teams and just great teams in general is these kind of moments like what FURIA just had. Very low time. You cannot mess up a single one of the tasks that you're doing. Otherwise, you're more than likely going to lose the round strictly by proxy. And FURIA are able to get all of those tasks done. And not only that, not lose a single member in that process as well. That is some insanely high-level gameplay from the LATAM squad. Let's see if they can continue to do it throughout the rest of this offense. And also that tactical timeout seems pretty positive so far.
Indeed it does, so I was probably wrong. Again.
I wouldn't say that to your face.
Well, let's see here for FURIA what else they're going to be able to bring us. Already a bit of a change up to the strategy as a Montaigne now going to be brought to the table for this attacking roster to hopefully allow for a little bit more free real estate gain for FURIA, especially once they get these breaches open. We were seeing FURIA use the Clash quite a bit for the very same reason, but on the defensive end of things, so we'll have to find out if it works just as well for the attack. Quite a while, though, before we see any combat transpiring between these two teams, as there's quite a bit of breaches to be made here, specifically starting with Miracle, as we'll have to open up the main balcony.
He works hard for his money, John. He's just got proper PPE on. You can see he's got the handguard there to make sure the heat doesn't actually get to him or anything. But as we're still making memes, they're just working on getting these walls open. We have BDS right inside the gates, actually, waiting for Furia's next move. It's going to be a Lems inside of Rafters, and this is going to be a play that could honestly catch them off guard. You can see Rafal is actually here to assist with this cross that they've been able to implement here for catch, but this is seemingly not the play as of right now for FURIA. This is something they could return to later, and Miracle actually able to save quite a bit of his fuel as well here, so this could actually be a really, really good thing for them. Let's see if he's able to get both of these walls, and I'll be honest, if he does, I'm very impressed with his ability to save this fuel.
I think he's got it. Just got to be a little careful of Brede. The good news is Brede is well secured back in the bathroom there, so there you go. Yeah, both walls going to be taken out. Ball, there's still a good amount of torch left there as well. Another 3/4 or so remaining on the charge, and he's going to be able to open up a couple more angles on that left wall as well, so someone can hold a relatively safe position to fend off Logi swings.
Okay, well, FURIA jig is up for them now in their overall game plan. As you were talking about, playing a lot of the Clash on defense, it was very difficult for BDS to try and handle, and now it's going to be the Monty of Rare. We've seen some pretty unique things happen with Monty at this LAN, some prone kills and everything of the sort, and if you didn't see those, well, you guys need to go watch some Cyclops games later on. But either way, we're down to the last minute now, as really nothing has happened across the map, minus some hard work going on. These tasks. Frag grenade finally out, and it's actually going to be able to catch up Renshiro. I believe that's his nitro cell as well. They'll be able to clear that out. Lenda gets his frag of his own. They're more than likely going to start looking for this plant very soon. The case being on Rare, that's the Monty currently standing inside of Waits. Fantasy will get yet another kill here as Rafal and Brede, the last two that remain, but that's so very quick, and it's a flawless round back-to-back for FURIA.
That pause is leading to such a perfect rebound here for the FURIA roster.
I don't think the pause was good. I don't think so.
All right, listen. I'm allowed to make bad calls. I was an opinion. I'm allowed to have those.
You're not allowed to have those on the internet?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I'll admit, I was wrong. It was a good pause. Either way, though, FURIA rocketing ahead now in the lead at a 6-3 scoreline. BDS there, and more importantly, calling out FURIA there. Great usage of the Maverick to open up both sides, both balconies, and I think only using the one opening. So the other one served basically as a bait to hold off the Cash player for an extra period of time, as that player had to be watchful of that pretty much the entire round, thinking like, okay, they opened this, they clearly used some utility to get access to it, something's got to be coming my way eventually, but never ended up being the case, as the push was almost entirely from the outer windows, leading into gym in the bedroom, as well as the jacuzzi push.
Yeah, those are those plays where just as a defensive team, sometimes you're like, why would they blow this? Why would you go over here and do that?
Why would you waste my time?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you spent all that time to torch this properly, and then now you're just not going to do it. I cannot believe it, but it's more of a distraction than anything, and it really does work out in the favor of FURIA.
Also gave FURIA a second option if they need it. So.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. Remember the play from BDS earlier on where Renshiro simply just backdoored it, just walked right in and started picking up some frags, and unbeknownst to a single FURIA member, knowing he was there.
10 seconds left.
Very, very good play indeed. Now, we need to see 3 of those in a row from BDS if they want any hope of ending this series in a 2-0 fashion. If not, any one of these next 3 rounds is claimed by FURIA. We will go to that third and final map over on Kafe to determine a winner out of this series. By single elimination as well, so the loser will be eliminated. Our winner will move on to be our 3rd semifinalist of the day.
Okay, well, there's a quick check over here, and yes, I did want to look into this. So 4 plays currently for BDS on Clubhouse with a 75% win rate, and the greatest thing of all of that is just remember, one of these previous maps that they did win, they actually beat FURIA 7-4. So this is a huge difference from what we saw from FURIA previously up against BDS. And as you said, there's a huge chance here that we actually end up going to map 3, which, I'm gonna say it again, I don't think anybody expected.
Let's see here now if FURIA can get the job done. Miracle going to come leaping in through the hatch and starts randomly spamming through the floor here in hopes of maybe catching someone from BDS on the other side. No one even close to that, however, so Miracle's going to quickly go down to the first floor and also start opening up the main bar hatch to get some access down towards Moto.
All right, guys, well, it's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it. And this time around, it's going to be Miracle torching up these hatches. Trying to get Moto open here, and Lenda, you know what, we're just not even going to talk about it. Okay, anyways, you move forward. You do great, Boo Boo. That's what you do.
That's one way to hide it.
Just get rid of the evidence immediately. Either way, though, Lenda more than likely going to start his work on the kitchen hatch here, and this is where you're going to switch over to the 2 form instead of the 4, simply because of the impact tricking that goes on extremely often for this position. We see it happen time and time again here on Clubhouse, but obviously this not going to be backed up with impacts for BDS. FURIA starting to dwindle on time, though, and the good news for BDS is that they actually haven't lost a person just yet. Stark contrast to what had been happening previously.
Still 2 minutes gone from the round. A massive amount of Furious time bank has now been wasted. And how did that happen? Rare taken out by his own teammate there. I guess revenge from the last map, but
splattered his friend.
Still don't know how it ended up transpiring.
Speaking of the splattering, Fantasy's going to be able to get 1, but it's immediately refragged. It's a 4 versus 3 now here for BDS. As well, FURIA finally on their back foot, but well, after killing their own teammates. So more than likely even farther than that. That's definitely a mental reset there if I have seen one. But the good news is that they have plenty of opportunities to still make mistakes. Into the 4v2 now as Shaiko will get a kill of his own, but I don't see this going very much farther. Although Miracle might have an opportunity here, and they will pull my words right out of my mouth. 2 versus 1 now after Alems takes down Highs. Miracle not seemingly having an answer just yet. Doesn't have a frag grenade to be able to mask his fall yet either, and has both of these players poised for his drop into Armory. Here it comes. Able to prone it out, and 590 close simply just feeds the magazine into dirt, and not a single person is going to peek. Well controlled from BDS.
Yeah, unfortunately, at this LAN, players have not really been swinging those, so we've been seeing a lot of people take the smart option. Once again, that is the case right there. So he just dumps the mag and hopes that someone comes out from the dirt tunnel, but is not going to end up happening. Still an advantageous position here for FURIA, but only for the next 2 rounds, as BDS claim 1 of the 3 they need to tie us back up and take us to overtime for the 2nd map in a row here in our matchup.
You know, it's going to be really terrible if what causes all of this, after that beautiful tactical timeout, BDS get all, or excuse me, FURIA get all the way up to 6 points, and BDS bring it all the way back on FURIA team killing. If that happens, I'm going to be so sad for FURIA.
I would hesitate to call that the catalyst.
No, but it's definitely something. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's not good.
It's like you know, it's just the convenient beginning of the downfall, I guess you could say.
It's like kind of like driving like a 2005 Honda. You know, like there's parts on it that are just kind of going out. You're just like, oh, well, it's going to be fine. I really hope these things don't break. That's kind of the point where FURIA is at. I feel like, you know, honestly, I really do feel like, all jokes aside, I feel like they do really have a very, very positive mental. But that is one of those things that you guys just have to be aware of. That's one of those moments that can be a tilter. And if it did indeed happen that way, you know, and it was quite negative for FURIA overall, that could be something going forward that BDS are going to be able to abuse, especially if these kills come in hot and heavy inside of this round.
So, BDS once again going to try and gain themselves one of the 2 rounds that is now necessary for them to come out on top. We're going to see Renshir bring the Cade into the fold here, and he will deploy both of those electric claws to reinforce the garage positions. He has some pigs to help out with that. And as well, ADSs will come in there to make sure that you can't just chuck an easy frag grenade up on top for FURIA and deal with that, allowing you to open up the garage panel, limiting the options for the attackers by quite a bit, and also enabling for Shaiko to assist here if he's even really needed. Obviously, his main concern is going to be over here towards the blue and red stairs, as well as fending off pressure from the front door. But meanwhile, for FURIA, there's a large focus on quickly getting open this balcony door once again. We're already halfway there, like I said. Without the Swiss cheesing that we were seeing from FURIA, it's a very quick process for a trained Maverick. It should only take about 5 to 10 seconds.
As for FURIA, they were going to have something interesting come into the fold for them, and it's going to be Lenda on this Ying. This is an operator that we have not seen, at least on this map, in between these 2. So we'll see if those Candelas can possibly get something done in the dying moments of this round. As for BDS, they're playing this one very close to the chest. They do not want to give up frags early on here to FURIA, so they're going to allow them to work the map slightly, but we could also see some aggressive plays like what Alems is going for right now. You heard that drone go all the way down, be able to get rid of that as well. And that means he's got some space to work with around main stairs, but don't don't know exactly if he knows that there is someone in this area. Oh, just saw the backpack of that man, and Lendo will end up going down to Shaiko across the map. And as you said, beautiful comms coming out here from BDS, and they'll take down the Ying so very early here.
Not only good call out to, and good trigger discipline from the player who spots him initially there, Lems as well. Not only does he make the call out, but his opponent probably as a result of that make sure not to over push into an area where Lendo would have been able to easily pick up that kill. So great turnaround on the situation there. BDS has the advantage now and is going to start pulling back a little bit closer to the site. Now they don't have to worry so much about their fragging capability.
That sucks for Highs. He really thought that he had some space to work with here that BDS just simply were not aware of, but there's a Valkyrie camera there and it'll read out his position. So now they're aware a construction is more than likely the take for Furia. They'll be able to get the double panel open for construction though. I mean, like the last time when the Butte Jammer thwarted it. So luckily enough, be able to at least start applying pressure as they're looking for this planet temp.
They're going to be able to go for this planet temp very early on too. You can see the cash room itself not very well defended. Most of that pressure off the site.
Okay.
We still have players downstairs. Now, okay, there is the insurance policy coming into fold there now for the defense, but how exactly is it going to lead further into this round? Shaiko denying the next player that tries to push in. That's Fantasy going down. They know the play is coming from construction now, so Shaiko, realizing there's a bit of window pressure, also goes to the hard corner, right around from where the breach was just made by Furia a few seconds ago. He can swing like this, an instant denial against Rare, knows he has a second one, and it's so clean from Shaiko as he gets the quad. Will be denied on the ace by Miracle, but Miracle is now alone against the world here, or against everything from BDS. The French at a minimum. Miracle will try to push himself forward here with no time left, but as you can see, it's a brutal crossfire, and he'll fall victim to it the moment he crosses the threshold.
That was so very clean from BDS, especially the prevention there. That Nitro cell sitting all the way in rafters and have to chuck that all the way through the door frame of Cash. Either way, they're able to get it to work, and BDS one step away from pushing us into overtime. Their adjustments so far have been so great, especially in these last two rounds. Able to get a big pickup initially to take down Lenda, and then Shaiko just does what Shaiko does best and frags out on every one of the Furia members, trying to create space and side of sight.
And so this will take us to the final round of regulation. This is everything that BDS has been fighting for over the previous 3 rounds here. Able to pick up the first 2. Can they get the job done, or will it all be for naught? Ultimately giving Furia a 7-5 victory. Furia's had plenty of time to react to the previous few rounds, figure out what the issues are. The problem is they've never been able to rerun the same attack here, so they are constantly having to shift the site, and we're heading back over here towards the gym setup. And as well, BDS finally taking a note from Furia, as they're going to bring the Clash out into the fold here. Something that BDS struggled with quite a bit on their own attacking side.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Here's some of your own medicine, Furia. Let's see how you guys like it. And, well, it shouldn't be too bad for them. They obviously have Fantasy as a direct counter, and they have 4 nades to try and deal with this shield, but that could obviously all get burnt up, as Shaiko as well as Rafal both have utility to counter that out. So we'll see exactly what is going to go down here, but this BDS setup overall is very beefy in the utility department, especially backed up with Renshiro and those Goyo shields.
So let's see how Abride is going to be able to make the impact necessary, or the delay more than anything necessary, to potentially put his team into an overtime position here for Furia as well. Like I said, plenty of time to figure out the situation. Interesting pick for them is they've actually brought an IQ into the fold. IQ has continued to be a rarer and rarer pick ever since the new ping system was introduced, because as long as you have visibility through drones, normally you can figure out that information without needing to bring the electronics again. Obviously, you guys saw in the reveal, she's getting a little bit of a rework to buff that capability coming in an upcoming patch, but for now, still has that limitation, but can still find a useful position inside of this specific situation if Furia are struggling to figure out where that utility is, and the drone intel is being denied constantly.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you say IQ grenades? Is that what you said? That's what I heard. I heard IQ grenades.
Well, she didn't bring grenades.
She doesn't have grenades, John.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, wait, yeah, you're confusing me. What are you talking
about? No, one of the...
I was like, I didn't forget. I was like confused at the point you were trying to make. Like,
no, it doesn't matter. We'll talk about it later, because Rare is immediately getting himself into sight, and then he's also going to get a touch terrified, as was I, honestly. He simply just waltzes in right off Jacuzzi, and there's not a single BDS member home as well. Frag grenade out. Does it end up hitting its mark? It will not. I believe that got eaten up as well, so BDS still allowed to exist for the time being.
Ranchero primed and ready to deploy a Nitro, so the moment the Furia commit themselves towards the inside. For the time being, though, Furia realize the amount of pressure that is broiling right at the edge of that breach. So they are not going to test that anytime soon here. Fantasy is actually trying to look through the windows to see if anything from BDS might pop out just a little bit too much, and they can abuse that. We can obviously see Brede in the way here. He's already taken quite a few shots. Here comes the flash spam to try and fend off Brede. It's going to push him back by a couple steps. Only activates Lem's aggression, though, as he tries to swing from the top while also trying to watch his own back. That flash timer expires. They put the Clash right back into position. They're just going to keep her there.
Oh my God. Shaiko, single bullet, able to take down Lenda. He'll make the move into weights as well and take down Miracle. And Furia are falling apart at the seams. Rafal with one as well. It is going to be BDS taking us to overtime. Rare's locked up. The whole team's here. Rare, you have a shooting gallery. And if you win this situation, I swear I literally pay you $1,000 right now. I swear to everything.
Look, he just ran up. He's like,
grave. He's just trying to find these frags. Look at his poor health, John. It just slowly dwindling from the electricity surging through his body, and Rafal will get the frag. BDS force us into overtime.
This looked like surely a Furia map a couple of rounds ago, but it has completely flipped. BDS taking full control of these final 3 rounds of the half yet again as well. They're nearly did the same thing inside of the first half as well. So now it's time for overtime yet again between these two teams, possibly to settle the series. Furia are getting nervous now. They're facing potential elimination. A map 3 seemed almost a certainty just a few minutes ago, but now elimination is looking more certain if they don't turn things around.
Are you sure it wasn't the team kill?
I'm pretty sure, but
I'm just messing with you.
I'd hope not.
No, honestly, BDS have been playing a fantastic defensive half. That's really what it's been. Their adjustments across the board to give Furia a really difficult time has paid off in dividends, especially for that last round there, the 6-pick into the Clash. And although Furia can play it, they don't know how to play against it. They didn't have an answer to any of that situation on Jacuzzi. Instead, they just threw the kitchen sink at the situation and hoped it would do something, and it did literally nothing at all. So Furia now put in between a rock and a hard place is, well, at least now they're going to be on the offensive side, and that's really the hard place I'm talking about. Their offenses have been lackluster, to say the least, after what we saw previously. The tactical timeout helped quite a bit, but then errors just started happening across the board, and BDS obviously having the upper hand with 2 rounds in overtime being defensive.
Also, BDS brought the Clash in, so.
Again?
No.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about that previously. Yeah.
Basically, the big lesson we learned from this map so far is Clash is good.
Clash is annoying. Clash is so unbelievably annoying, and then when people play her correctly, it's like, you know what? Why? What? Where did you kill him from, Alems? I was looking up, man. Like, give me
that was a spawn peek if I've ever seen one.
Where
Look
the
at
heck?
this. I think he had to stand on like something in the construction to get that angle
okay,
too.
there's a stack of what the heck is that stuff
right
called?
Right here.
Yeah, drywall. That's what that's called. Yeah, he's sitting on the drywall.
I think that's
stuff.
Plywood actually.
Is it plywood? No, it's drywall.
I can't see from
I'm
that
gonna
distance,
argue with you. It's drywall.
We'll probably see it at some point in the round here. It's a block of textures. That's what it is.
I'm pretty sure. Listen, if you want to know the stupid stuff I know about this game, I'm pretty sure on the side of those it says Rainbow Six drywall.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
I'm pretty sure it does.
So let's keep an eye out here. See how Furia is going to quickly try and make up for this deficit now. As obviously, they've been stunted right from the start. And, I mean, it couldn't have happened to, like, a worse operator as well.
Well, at least they still have Maverick.
That's good.
So that's good.
Everybody's been bringing the double hard breach. So usually it's not the end of the world to lose one. The problem is, though, is that, again, they're going to need to conserve that torch for everything they'll need to open. Still might be 1 or 2 walls they likely can't get open, because at most you're going to be getting 2 with this torch, as we saw earlier on in the matchup here. Nice nitro dodge there from High. Thought he was a little close, but actually was able to avoid a large majority of the damage. And now, looks like he wants to return the favor against Renshiro. Shiro very much ready for that, though. Slowly trying to swing up into an aggressive position, but High has other plans. He's going to rotate over towards Stock and potentially make a swing from there.
Furia really don't look like they know what the next step necessarily is. They're trying to find some extra information to influence their next decision. They'll at least be able to find Renshiro inside of Secret, but he's got an ADS down there as well as barbed wire to assist him. So this is just going to be a time sink here for Furia. They obviously do want to get rid of him. He's still going to be a problem, but there's a lot of problems on this mid floor right now. The Valkyrie here, and it's a Lems to take him down. He'll feed the rest of the magazine into Stock to try and find Highs, but that's Renshiro's job, as he'll knock down the sledge. Furia now have to try and get some refrags out here. They'll be able to at least get one, but it's not going to be enough of a negotiation here, as yet another member will falter.
Miracle alone, essentially, here does have the possibility of resurrecting highs, but he has other things to worry about, and even more than he thought to worry about, apparently, as a new element is added to the final second from the red drop to shut that round down, and once again, put BDS on map point. 4 rounds in a row from this team now. What a comeback, and they only need one more to get it done.
Look at the smile on Alem's face as well, just ear to ear after that spawn peek, and he knew exactly what he did as well. Right from the beginning of the round all the way to the end, he's like, yep, FURIA doesn't really have an option, and it's all because of me. So they're at least able to get the wall open, and the thing for FURIA there was they obviously bide for that CCTV wall, they get it popped, but then they really can't have any effect over the garage area, and that really seemed to be the play. If you guys saw, Fantasy relocated himself to the outside rafters to try and play for the plat break there, and he was simply probably holding that down so they could get garage control and go for default plant. He would enact as the cross, but they didn't really have any options to do so because they didn't have a way to actually get into the garage panels down low. They could try and put Rafal down there, but I mean that could also, or not Rafal, excuse me, they could put their Maverick down there, but that could also lead to some implications as well that they weren't exactly ready for. So it just seemed that FURIA right from the jump stunted. But the lucky thing is they're back on the side that they favor, and when we saw them take it to BDS, and not only take it to BDS, but they're back on the site that was one of the biggest issues for BDS to try and handle.
Confidence swings here, definitely going to come into play though. BDS has been absolutely thriving over the past 4 rounds here, and FURIA has seemingly hit a wall. So that will also be changing up to some extent how these players might be approaching the upcoming round. I say that, but at the same time, Lenda already going to his very aggressive position over here on the inside of Strip, potentially line up for an outside swing. And he might get the opportunity for a fight here as well. Quite a few members of BDS in the area. Not sure if they've been able to successfully see him from a drone's perspective or not, but you can see it. They're going to start to work their way in here now.
Okay, well, BDS, the opportunity to seal the deal right here. Taking 2 maps after running things back up on the defensive side. FURIA, even with a tactical timeout, not able to achieve much. Lenda will get droned out. Not going to be too much here from the Zof on the aggression as Alems was on a drone of his own. The ping's now starting to come out, and luckily enough, Alems has the LMG in hand as well. So he can simply just feed the magazine to these angles. He knows the pressure's coming. It's mounting on both ends. He's finally going to take some heat, but that's actually going to be from the billiards hat from Miracle. It's only going to tag him up, but Lenda definitely worse for wear from that situation.
FURIA backing up and keeping their players alive this time, which is the good news. In some of the defensive rounds, they did have issues where they would lose too many because of a constant commitment to these types of fights. But this time, they take the conservative choice. They fall back before things get a little bit too dicey. Keep Lenda, as well as a few of these other players, alive in the full 5-player strength up on the site. However, the first kill is still going to end up... Oh my goodness, 2 kills now. Shaiko and Renshiro able to leverage them. This nade, let's get back in, and he's trying to run from it. Thankfully, gets far enough away, but still massive damage against Rare regardless. And Brede is able to find a different kill. Miracle goes down. Rare trades it out. He's fragging so desperately to keep his team in it, but it's not going to work. BDS get it done. They take the matchup 2-0, and they're going on to the semifinals.
BDS with 6 rounds in a row to take Clubhouse, steal it away from the LATAM squad that simply had it in their clutches, John. They just had to reach out and grab it, and they could not achieve that. All memes aside, definitely not the team kill there that led to that demise. I can definitely tell you that. FURIA just simply not having enough fuel in the tank to take it up against BDS, which again, the consistency is incredible. And also, I know you guys couldn't see that final scoreboard. Shaiko, 18-9-4.
An impressive scoreline from him alone, with the rest of the team doing a fantastic job as well. Brings back that point from the analysis desk once again. BDS might start a little bit slow, but man, once they get going...
Jess knows. Jess is aware.
That train is going downhill, that is for sure. It's hard to stop it, as we saw right there. BDS, absolute momentum playing into their favor and allowing them to take control of this second map, giving us our 3rd 2-0 of the day, as well as our 3rd semi-finalist position going over to BDS. Massive congratulations to them. Commiserations, of course, to FURIA. A very well-fought tournament, making it out of our group stage still, and making it here to the quarterfinals, but unfortunately faltering now in the quarterfinals. That'll do it for myself and Stokes for the day. We're going to send it back over to the desk to break this series down.
Well, what a comeback from BDS. Unfortunately, that means Furia is out of the tournament. However, I'm excited because a real rivalry is going to be developing from between these two teams after Furia has faced elimination in the last 2 tournaments now at the hands of BDS. I mean, I like the fact that they opted into the Clubhouse experience again. Yep. It was closer this time. I think you could tell they may have learned something. You were casting the last iteration of this series, weren't you?
I was, absolutely. And I will say last time I did feel that BDS was the stronger team, and now I felt like we had 2 Titans going head-to-head. That's without a doubt. There were 2 completely different play styles going head-to-head. One wanted to fight with fire, one wanted to fight with a little bit of ice. And well, it turns out that you can extinguish the fire that is Furia, and that's what BDS got to do yet again today. So yes, that is a nice interregional little revenge match that might happen again in the future, fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, that match showed that BDS actually had to do a little bit of adapting. Like we talked early on in the desk that BDS kind of is the only team here probably that sticks with their same play style, but it was clear in that match they were not, too ready for the aggression from Furia in both maps at the beginning, but later on in the rounds they started adapting and then, slowing them down and do what they had to do to win those rounds.
Yeah, exactly right. You know what?
What?
You know what we haven't seen this event?
What?
And I'm glad that we're not showing my face for this, because this is really important, because no one needs to see my face during this moment. Hot Take Jess has not been on the desk for the entirety of the major so far, because I didn't want to, bring too much negativity into it, but since Furia is leaving, and I won't necessarily have to face them upon saying this, I will say to Lender, if he does happen to ever listen to this, if you dare roam with smoke again, I hope someone smacks you down so quickly, you are either playing the wrong role, the wrong operator, or you're playing the wrong game, because this is just not your day, man. Like, get off the smoke. It is ridiculous. And, of course, a disappointing sort of turnaround from them when it comes to drones. Their utility usage is poor. You know what? Furia would be a very good team if they learned how to drone, communicate, refrag. There's like 28 other things. Puns and everything aside, I definitely think that Furia showed up today, but there's fundamentals lacking, and they could have beat BDS with those fundamentals.
I would say that's exactly, they took the play style of the meta and just ran with it. Yep. Roaming smoke is, I have to agree, is a little bit interesting to say the least.
Yep, there's Lender on the 5. I mean, he deserved that 0.5 KD just for that. Ridiculous.
This is a little personal.
What operator would you like Lenda to have swapped to?
I mean, look, if you really need to be off-site, anything but the smoke would have gone. Elysium would have gone. Let's go flex operator. If any kind of flex operator would have suited him. That's not to say he cannot frag with the smoke. It's the point that the smoke has utility that's ever so important, and clearly they don't understand that.
Fair enough. I mean,
I know it's harsh. I'm being so harsh, but that's a team decision. That's a team decision that Furia has decided to make. That's not Lender sitting there and going, "Hey boys, I'm going to play smoke and I'm going to go do this." The team is not only allowing him to pick smoke, but go and do it. The comms are obviously feeding into that, so that's what it is.
Well, I'm going to raise your rage bar a little higher by showing you round 4.
Oh.
I was going to get you going and keep you going. So why does this rile you up?
All right, bring it up. You know what? Let's bring it up so that I can really feel the passion here that I've been trying to exude. I mean, for Furia as a whole, this is not them. This is a BDS fault. This is a default cam. This is not a Valkyrie cam, this is a default cam, and BDS is outside wondering why, other than the fact that Furia only works off Shift W and aggression, wondering why they're getting peeked from every orifice that is open on this map. That's probably because the default cam is up the entire time. In fact, the fact that Fantasy gets smashed by a Lems there is beyond recognition. If BDS can win with a default cam spotting them continuously, then they're a great team. But
it was a bait.
You know what? I said that to Alex. I was like, you know what? I wonder if they left it up because they wanted them to peek the doors and windows.
I mean, they were setting the tempo early, both maps. They were spawn killing, running out. They weren't even letting BDS get set up. So there's a very good chance that they did that. There was a bait.
We're being too nice to BDS.
They definitely played a little bit underwhelming compared to what we're used to, but it also could have just been Furia's performing much better than we expected.
I agree.
Well, you guys are going really hard on Furia, considering that they were very close to winning this game. They were up 5-2. So what was it about Furia's defense that was allowing them to have so much success? Because you see this on round 6, and you alluded earlier that BDS did have to make some adaptations. What were they adapting to? What was Furia doing to them?
I think the biggest thing was Furia was, like I said, they were setting the tempo of the game. They weren't letting BDS get in the positions that they wanted to be in. And so BDS had to slow down, you know, slowly work those areas rather than quickly like they normally do. And going into this replay here, let's just say it's one of the most ridiculous things.
You know, do you want to know why it's so ridiculous? Is because BDS has the man advantage. Not only do they have the man advantage, but they have everything going for them but the time. And the fact that there is a Furia player standing there able to run out of the breach they've just made and absolutely decimate them is beyond recognition to me. The fact you pull that down to a 2v2 in 4 seconds left is so ridiculous to me. I think that that is BDS's biggest weakness. When you ask me at the beginning of this major, what is BDS's biggest weakness? It is randomized aggression that doesn't let them get into place to be one of the best objective-based teams in the world. That's the only counter.
So what were they doing later on that allowed them to adapt to this style, especially when it came to OT?
They switched sides. I hate to be that simple.
Honestly, it's right. If you look at Coastline and you look at Clubhouse, it's the same thing. On defense, they struggled.
Yeah. That's absolutely it.
It is what it is. It's a pretty standard Clubhouse. I mean, there was nothing crazy really going on. It's just, if you know, Furia was more aggressive. They had a roaming smoke like Jess so kindly talked about earlier. She's a big fan of that.
Yeah, love it.
But it was Clubhouse. There was really nothing crazy going on.
Yeah.
On the attack side, though, Shaiko really came alive, and you wanted to bring up one of his rounds where he got the 4K. You could really show off his mechanics. Is this the primary reason why BDS was able to muscle their way back into the game?
I don't think so. It's the full reason, but I think it's like just like we talked about in the beginning. Shaiko gets in these positions where his mechanical skill really gets him out of bad spots, and I think we have the wrong clip.
No, I think this is when he got he got opening. You know what? He's all over the map, but he gets an opening kill. Okay. There you go. This is, what round are we on?
10.
Yeah. Is this
Bro,
the
this is 11. This is round 11.
Come on, Alex. You're the one that called for this,
yes,
brother.
in the server, not the beginning. Sorry.
This man's trying to watch the game again and be like, is this what I need?
Yeah,
this is my clip. I'm going to take it back, rewind it. Is this where they misdroned Lems downstairs? I don't even think I requested this, and the fact that they've read my mind is amazing. Shout out to production right now, because I'm pretty sure this is where Lems is allowed to lurk all the way in the bottom floor for like more than 60 seconds, because one player, and don't yell at me, I think it was Lender, didn't drone down to catch a Lems on the bottom floor. So yeah, that's a terrible one. But maybe a Shaiko pop-off happens as well.
Yeah, it might be the same round.
All right, we're just silently introducing this one. This is it.
This is
really
okay. This
intense.
is the second round. So, okay.
You
Sorry about that. It was just so delayed. So we missed the first kill, but obviously the second kill, Fantasy kind of runs into the server a little too early. The team's going for the plant. He struggles there. Shaiko's stuck in the corner. This is positional awareness. He knows that he can stop the plant. Rare has no idea that he's there, and Shaiko just doesn't stop. He just keeps going. I kind of wish we had the perspective of him rather than just top down, but Shaiko, you know, saved the round.
You know why you got confused? Because you're so used to first POV.
Yeah.
That's it. Because you're a player. I mean, I'm used to seeing top down, so I'm like, hang on, this is possibly the round where it gets a misdrone.
That's the amateur
for me. You know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you didn't have first POV. That's it.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, Shaiko is going to get the MVP of this match, as decided on by you guys.
Well deserved.
Well deserved.
There's a
if you do
second
say
place,
so
though.
yourself, the person who selected Shaiko.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a close second place in Alem. Shout out to Alem.
100%.
Yeah, Alem's had a great first map. Shaiko, though, 18 on the second match here. Wonderful. Maybe we'll get to see that quad kill from his perspective once we get to the next map. So overall, that puts him up there as the top player of this game and in contention for the MMVP at the end of the day. So the other two selections so far have been Palu and Dan.
It's so hard to beat Palu too at one of those days, you know?
You know, our other set of analysts, after seeing both games, said Dan was the front runner.
Okay.
I think Dan definitely had a little bit more impact kills than we think.
Yeah.
He had a lot
Yes.
of round saving kills.
Yeah.
A 65% headshot? My goodness, most players average between 40 to 50%. That's pretty good.
Shaiko's a walking aimbot. Like, let's just be honest.
I mean, there were some very impressive one-taps in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, he was working out over towards gym, that's for sure. But I tell you what, him on the Wamai recently, and for those of you who have not been tuning into Shaiko in EUL, there have been teams who have started banning Jaeger against him because he was the kind of player that kept on Jaeger, even though they did nerf the carbine. He said, oh, I just learned how to control the carbine again. That was what I did. Then teams said, well, let's ban Jaeger against him. And he said, what if I try Wamai? And then and he tried Wamai, and it was terrifying. Not that he plays the MP5K, mind you. He plays a very slower fire rate and one that ADS is much slower, and the man still absolutely slaps people. So I don't think you should just counterban Shaiko ever again.
There's a reason he's one of the best players in the world, and there's a reason he's the second highest rated player at the event right now. So you just Shaiko doing Shaiko things.
That's it. So now he's in the MMVP category, which will be decided on after our next match. And we are going to head over to a break right now, and then we'll talk about Dark Zero versus Team 1.